It is time.
It's time.
It's time.
It's time. It's time.
It is time.
It's the Money Show.
The Money Show.
The Money Show. The Money Show.
The Money Show.
Makodem Mandi Igbo. Let the conversation begin.
Igbo n'ebe niile, ekene m unu. Welcome to the Money Show. Makodem Mandi Igbo. Afa m bụ Chuka. Anyị apụtaghị ọzọ ka anyị mee ka anyị si eme nkata ụmụ Igbo maka ọganiru, maka nchekwa, maka idozi obodo, maka ịdị n'otu. Ka ọ wee dịla anyị mma. Money is an acronym for Maka Ọdịmma Ndị Igbo. This is where we gather to rub minds, share ideas, and find viable solutions to our challenges so that we can move forward as a collective and take our people to the future, to the promised future, to the future that we desire as Ndị Igbo. This is the 25th episode of this show. And today we are pivoting to something else, a little away from education. If you have been following, you will notice that we've been talking about education for the last 3 episodes. And last week we pivoted to something like that we call the Money Show Special Edition, because we had to host one of the Igbo icons in the world of academy with his wife, with his beautiful, delectable wife, and we had a great time. We had a swell time. We brought them in to honor them and celebrate them, and also appreciate the work they've done and help them see from our eyes how we feel about the things that they've done, the contributions that they have given to Ndị Igbo as a whole, especially in the area of learning, advanced learning, particularly science and physics. So, and it went very, very well. They enjoyed themselves from the feedback we got from them. They had a great time, and we also had a great time. But tonight we are going into something different, but still about development, still about enlightenment, still about public education in a different way. I now bang it into something around entertainment. Yeah. Makana as na you know. As you all know, we always have this conversation in multi languages, especially Igbo and English. So we allow them to speak English. And those who don't care to speak English, who would love to speak Igbo rather, let them speak Igbo. So if you can't speak more of English, if you prefer to speak Igbo, better. The most important thing is that we are having a great time. All the same, better. So today we are going to be talking about, as you can see on the title or the topic, we're going to be talking about filmmaking. In fact, to just make it simple, storytelling. We are going to be talking about how storytelling really matters, how it is essential to our growth and development as Igbo. You know, as a society, as also as an economy in Igbo, how it affects our economy, and how it also matters in the area of selling the Igbo brand, which is connected to everything Igbo na-elele or kaisielefa na-elele. You know, that's what this conversation is going to be about. So we want to have a very intellectual, educative, let me put it that way, educative and interactive conversation. And we decided to bring in some experts, or what you would call professionals in the movie industry, who will be joining us in this conversation and give us their perspectives and talk about their experiences and the things they see that we don't see, and also the things that we see that they see. And then we can also tell them the things that we see that they don't see, so that we can understand each other. So this is like connecting with the production unit of this business between Ayen and Deneme movie, you know, and they themselves also hearing from us. So we would like to engage them. We would like to bring in questions, relevant questions to the conversation that will enrich this discussion. We put something out of it. We want to just see how we can enhance our promotion of the Igbo cultural values using the powerful tool that is film making. So if you would like to join this conversation, feel free to request the mic. while we're waiting for them, we will proceed and talk about what we feel, what we think regarding the movie industry, regarding what's going on right now, regarding what is coming out of the movie industry, regarding how it affects our lives, regarding what we have been expecting, and what we can appreciate in terms of how far we've gone, how far we've come, what we have achieved, and how it is growing. That's what this is about. So I hope that everybody who is coming in here is ready to give this what it deserves, because this is one topic that is not often discussed. Priscilla, I've been trying to bring you in as co-host, but it seems to be a challenge till now. If you can check and see if you can see the invites just coming, so we can get this started. I don't know exactly when the guests are going to come in, but I'm expecting them to jump in as soon as possible. Some will come in a little late, others will come in quicker. We didn't put them on the flyer. Normally a flyer. So you just know when I introduce them, when they come in, you just realize, okay, these people are here now. So let's have the conversation. Priscilla, once you have the mic, please let's hear you speak up. Let's hear you so that because it looks like what's going on at your end is different from what's going on from what I can see on my screen. All right.
Hello, Na. Can you hear me?
Yes, so one them.
Finally.
Udodi. I'm not Diane today. I'm not East today. So
are you serious?
I hope that the internet is better here. I may use thanks to my brother that is hosting me, my friend, the only amazing internet. So let's hope that it's good enough. Starlink. Starlink can Mojo.
It's very
Starlink
clear.
can Mojo. This one is actually maybe as good as Starlink or better. Yeah.
Let me know as for your location. I can do one. Later,
where can
I How was your week? My week was very interesting. That's what I can say. In transit between various states, but I'm good. How was your week?
Oh, very busy. That is very, very busy. Man, I'm happy to be home. I'm happy to be with my people. Connect with family. Bacha. I got my bacha already. One quarter already. I need a good Monday Monday morning my friend name.
It's so interesting. In an Igbo,
no. So all the more authentic tonight, all the more authentic because I'm speaking from experience. I'm experiencing it. I'm breathing the air at home. Of course, exactly.
Oh my goodness, Makodim Mandibu. Well, we are gathered here together. I would like to hear everybody's, concern. I come and say the last time Chorisi the Igbo no dabam no. Una so from people collected it from my mouth.
That one which I could swear,
Yeah.
I actually call the kind of discriminate against our fellow Nigerians because we don't own him alone. Even though he's our father, we don't own him alone. He's serving the whole of Nigeria.
That's true, but man, but that time on not on a CNN, on a MONI show. The vibe. Anyways, it's all good. It's all interesting.
Yeah.
So today we have a very fantastic topic today, correct? Oh, I'm seeing it.
Yes.
Igbo cultural values to filmmaking. As in, I cannot wait for our guests to come and let's begin to talk about these things.
One of them is here already.
Yay!
Yeah. But continue. I'll introduce her. Please request the mic. Rita, if you can hear me, please request the mic so you can come up.
Yeah. Please, you're welcome. And as usual, I'm with Priscilla Amadi, your service culture evangelist, co-hosting with our wonderful Kunye Media, aka Chuka, behind the mask.
Mask.
Oh, mask.
Don't worry, I'm not hiding. I'm going to first one day. Oh dear.
Yeah, so it is. And as usual, please, when it's time, Biko request for mic, and also we'll be reading your comments from the comment section. Biko, request for Mike Ubua or Umboru Webe 10 o'clock. Today we are keeping to time, right, Chuka?
We will do our best to keep to time today. And I manage, when you pick up the mic. In fact, let me just state the ground rules. As usual, we have some ground rules here. One, once you get the mic, you keep it on mute. Two, when you are to speak, go straight to the point. Number three, stick to the conversation. Just look at the topic and make sure that what you're talking about is relevant to the conversation. When we have guests here, we like to engage them, right? So, because these people are professionals in what we are talking about or regarding the topic we're discussing. So it's best to try and get the best out of the conversation by engaging them with questions. That way, okay, this is what I think about this. What do you think about that? What's your take about this thing? About it. Professional. About it. Let's just make it a beautiful conversation by tapping into their experience, tapping into their study, their years of research, years of hard work, because they have so much to offer in the conversation because they have been doing the work for a very long time. And that is the reason why we're doing this. So, Ebata today, try and join the conversation in that manner. The last one, Bo, not the last one, but
and
respect
to
the
buttress
guests.
that particular point, Chuka, Oburosi as a guest or as a listener, you don't have your experiences. It's not that you don't know anything about the topic. Most of the specific guests were earmarked, for this particular conversation. The more you're on the speaker session and you speak about your own experiences is beautiful. But like Chuka said, our guests will be given, the chances to be able to express various views depending on the angle we are trying to look at it from or analyze it from. And chetakwa na hini nebugene makaodemandi Igbo biko nechefukwalaka.
The last one, Bo, please. Respect the guests, respect the audience, and respect yourself when you are to speak, and avoid noisy surroundings. So, stay on mute until you're clear. Okay, let's proceed. We have one of us here already, but can be good with Ifonalo. She's a screenwriter, producer, filmmaker, with a career in Hollywood that spans over a decade. Most of you probably have seen her on your screens or have heard her name so many times. She's an outspoken person. She's a strong voice in Nigeria and in the creative industry. She has several movies, actually. Credit to her. I could name a few: Taste of Love, telenovela, Special Jollof, Head Over Heels, At Your Service, Unshaken. It's none other than Rita Omora. Rita, how are you? Welcome to the MONI Show. Rita, if you can hear me.
I can hear you. Good evening, everyone. Sorry, I just got home. Sorry. Okay, guys. Sorry. I'm just tuning in because I'm on some personal responsibilities that took my day and everything. So I'm so sorry if I came in late. Like Chuka rightly said, my name is Rita Omura. I'm a screenwriter, I'm a filmmaker, a producer, and yes, he was right when I have been over a decade in Nollywood. I actually entered Nollywood in 2009. Before then, I was working in publishing. Fun fact, Farafina, the guys who published the West African edition of Half of a Yellow Sun, Purple Hibiscus. I've had quite some experience with even in the literary section. So yes, without talking too much, I'm happy to be here, and I just hope that the discussions will be meaningful. And as somebody who is championing the production, more production on Igbo towards that in this space.
Rita, we're having a little hard time hearing you. Or the Caribbean and Western strong connection. We might want to move around a little and see where the signal is stronger, so we can hear you clearer. And then with some interruption, I think it has to do with your connection. Of course, yeah, sometimes you might go Twitter space. I draw very friendly with poor network. And in Nigeria and which are a very wonderful network connection. So only against sometimes, but we'll do with what we have, and we'll do our best. If you can hear me, just know that we are proceeding with the conversation. When you can speak, go ahead and speak. We'll ask you questions. We'll direct many questions to you. I think I can see our second guests
Meanwhile, network
here already.
Chuka. Network ga nketa. What the kwagina with Columpio. Or the giga kwara because network get very clear, everything very sharp. Because I get job gain any location kain kwara ngongwa ini ne ga noreba.
I don't even know why we can't have this experience everywhere in Nigeria. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, Nigerians have embraced the internet so much, and it's not like it's too cheap. So it doesn't make sense that we can't have relatively quality and stable service in Nigeria in 2024. It's shameful. It's very shameful, really. But what can we do? We can only speak up because I not control the companies, and the people who are supposed to regulate, they don't appear to be doing their job seriously or taking their job seriously. So all we can do is to do the things that we can control and make the most of them. Yeah, let's proceed. So Rita, I hope you are ready for this conversation. I hope you're in the clear now with your connection. Can you hear me? If you can hear me, speak, please.
Biko, would love to. It's so sad that Rita is having network challenges. The day I get visible network na this Nigeria, I don't get who Nigeria answer because this network thing is so frustrating.
Yeah, but I mean, when you look at it from the upside, point of view, we have come a long way. I mean, 10 years ago or 5 years ago, Twitter Space had come out at that time. Maybe 10 years ago. I don't think we'll be able. I don't think we'll be able to. We won't be able to do it, sir.
2G phone.
I am a boomudi SF. If I'm a boom, So if you look at it from that perspective, we're actually making progress. It's just that the progress is not comparable to the global standard.
Yeah.
We're moving at a snail speed, but we're still making some progress. And I want to how to maximize it. Yeah, so in this conversation, I watch movies a lot. So we would like to have a lot of ladies in this conversation tonight.
Africa Magic Igbo.
And Netflix.
Especially, I must sign on Igbo space now. So I Africa Magic Igbo, my brother. The kind of stories seen on at that place, sometimes it's in the way me way. Hey, the last one like this, in fact, it's amazing. But again, it's been nice to intentionally promote our cultural values through filmmaking. But if you look at the current filmmaking I went now, with three film and men at that African Magic Igbo, sometimes I wonder, are these true representatives of what our culture truly represents, or is it just the sensational, ones that they think would appeal to masses? I would love to hear from a filmmaker, because some things I can't recognize in those movies, and some things just seem like it seems like, can this really happen? Where does fiction stop and where does the reality start? Because Igane could say, you hear some people say, omenala anyi. Gine get one into for the omenala. Yadika or fiction, kebidro. Maybe the location that it was tied to a borough fiction. And it's just, I would love to hear from our filmmakers, where does this fiction end and where does the real thing, go?
Start.
And yes, because now, I don't know if you know that thing where some other people from other African countries have a certain perception about Igbo tradition because of what they see in these movies, according to them, according to them, there are some things that, yes, our culture, it just, now, what is this our culture face? Which one is our? Because 11 of those movies, is almost all the stepmother, almost all the whole mother-in-laws are wicked. If the mother-in-law is not wicked, the daughter-in-law is wicked. Then there's just a lot of narratives that have been pushed. I worry about, really.
I have a feeling that we have a new generation of Nigerian filmmakers, filmmakers ecosystem or something like that. It feels like, because a lot of people that are making movies now, maybe not the biggest of them, but a lot of people that are making movies now seem to be what you might want to call millennials, younger people, people from maybe 50 down, right? And I feel like there is a little shift.
Okay.
I can't tell as to how it's working, and I can't tell as to what is driving it. And that's exactly the reason why we thought it's best to hear from the producers,
from our
and
filmmakers.
Yes, directly. Let's understand how they are pivoting, because I think it's been an interesting journey. In my opinion, I like to look at things from as a journey, chronicled from the beginning. I don't know if we can really say we made a lot of movies before the Civil War, but I can remember that there's some movies that were made in the 70s, and there are TV shows also that were produced in the 70s into the 80s, like The New Masquerade. The New Masquerade was
my favorite.
Yes.
Everydaya.
Yeah. It was produced by Igbo, all of them. Yes. All of them were Igbo, So it was really, really interesting to listen to one of the actors talk about how they started that, what was driving their message, what was the intention of even the name of the show, The Masquerade. It was initially the Masquerade before they now changed it to The New Masquerade, because they did some changes. They made some changes, tweaked it, so they called it The New Masquerade. Yeah. So The Masquerade, actually,
I loved that movie so much. That particular soap opera so much.
Yeah. It was. I think it was the biggest thing in Nigeria. I can't speak for those who were in the Southwest, but it was on national television. It was on national
straight
television.
Out of Enugu, right?
Yeah.
I recall. It was
straight out of Enugu then. No. I think it was in Aba. Okay, it was in Enugu then. They moved to Aba.
Oh, you have reminded me of £1 road, Aba. 51 of you. 51 Iweka Road, Onitsha.
I wonder what is there now. That place was able one tower.
Like,
that's 51 Iweka. Was able one major tower. One major tower, Gabo. I'm telling you, like.
Then later they now added £3 road, so you see 1/3 road, Aba.
Yeah. So the New Masquerade was actually, when they asked Zebediah, why Masquerade, he said that the idea was to speak to the people and to speak to power.
Yeah.
But wearing a mask. Wearing a mask, so it doesn't appear aggressive. So what is the mask?
So the mask was comedy. Damn.
Yes. See creative thinking. So everything about that TV show was intentional. Yeah. And when you hear him explain those things, and then you remember your experience watching those shows, everything makes a lot of sense.
I think a lot of sense.
Yeah. I think we started well. And then if you go from that to Things Fall Apart.
Oh yes,
there are two versions of Things Fall Apart. The Igbo version came first. The one that was acted by one tall man. What was his name? Tonyo Guejo or something like that. Ghana Igbo. Messi and Kanwa.
I most likely
Messi and English. I saw it. And I've been looking for it. I can't find it on Facebook, on Twitter, or YouTube. I think it's much older.
Yeah.
I think it's much older. Maybe like, I don't know when they created that one. Maybe in the late 70s or early 80s. I don't know. Then the other one came with so much grandeur. The one in English that had a beautiful soundtrack to it by Professor Kweme. Then Peter Doce was actually, I think that was what announced him.
He was the icing on that cake, man. That guy seized that time. He was giving us plenty aura.
And he wasn't very known. He wasn't even known before then. It was just.
He owned that role, man. He owned that role.
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness. Till now, people still call him Okonkwo. Years down the line, he's still Okonkwo. And it's so beautiful to watch all those amazing stories. So fast forward to now, like, not that it might. Well, we're looking forward to those kinds of intentionality behind storytelling and Igbo cultural values, really, because now, like, I intentionally watched African Magic Igbo. I normally don't watch those. I'm a Netflix kind of girl, but I decided to watch this African Magic, and I was struggling really because I was trying to identify some things that they said they started with. Maybe it's the old movies So maybe, sometimes those African Magic would recycle old movies. So maybe it's the old movies I was watching at that time. But after now, probably after this conversation, listening to our guests, I would probably go and look for the newest ones that is intentional towards Igbo cultural values. But yes.
Manaka, can't you wanna watch Netflix in the casif name was 2 or 3 classes of Nigerian movies, right?
Yeah.
And when there are some that make it to cinema and then Netflix. Netflix has maybe I don't know what the standards are, but it looks like Netflix has a standard. So anyway, a certain level of quality you have to attain before you can make it to Netflix. So that means that when you follow movie na Netflix, there's a likelihood that meet the expectation. So do you find them?
Nkaha Genevieve Naji actor with Lionheart. Oh my God, that movie was so interesting. Like I think Pete Edochie was still her dad in that movie. Normally I don't watch. Sorry, I apologize in advance, but I really do not watch.
So what you're saying is that you don't watch Nigerian movies on Netflix. You don't look for them, sir.
I hardly do that unless See, I don't need to go and watch it on Netflix. Most of the storyline I see it every day, so I want to look for another storyline that is not what is my reality.
I don't know, but for me,
But King of Boys and then Lionheart, that movie was amazing. And then sometimes I look for comedy. At least I watch the Nigerian version of comedy. That one that Basket Mouth was like the head and stuff. I watched that. But yes, Netflix movies for me is not. But the recent one I watched, the one that Break of Dawn, and that's the one that Ambassador Elijah produced.
What about in Kendi Wato? Anyone that has anything that
pure Igbo
tells you that this is an Igbo movie, maybe not in Igbo language, but kind of featuring an Igbo related story, or if you're naming a Southeast or a family, just the life of Igbo people in some way, just like almost some movies that I watched.
That's why I said I went to African Magic Igbo to go and look for it, and I watched them.
In Achia, only one place. That's why your options seem to be limited. Anyway, it looks like
it was Igbo narrative, and it was amazing to me, though.
Great.
I don't know about any other person else.
It was great.
That storyline was.
But that has been a long time. I'm sure then we'll go a lot of movies go since then. I don't want to start talking about them too much because our guests are producers of those movies. So Rita, I can't get with Nileno. That means you're ready to speak now.
Yay,
so let's get it going.
Can you guys hear me?
Back. Yes.
Clearly.
Clearly. Thank God. I had to restart this phone. Good evening. I've been listening. I've been back since, and I have been listening in. To answer your question, I think between both of you, there is little to no Igbo representation on Netflix, on Prime, on the major streamers. Except Showmax, which has Chetam, and those are not even movies; they are series. James Omokwe did Chetam, and I think Masquerades of Anye, I think is also another Igbo-centered production. But when it comes to Netflix, when it comes to Prime, Igbo content has little to no representation on that. The only Igbo content that I have seen so far on Netflix is Afamefuna. The only content that I know that has some Igbo leanings on it is Afamefuna. I don't know if you guys can still hear me.
Loud and clear.
Yeah. So it's not for someone because I'm like you said, Suka, I'm very vocal about my opinions, and I have been as pro Igbo as I can be given the circumstances. And in fact, I'm pro Igbo for everything, and I'm unashamedly regionalist. I have no apologies about it. I'm for, you know what, this one Nigeria something. Let every region just focus on themselves and develop themselves and further themselves in education, in science, in technology, even in film, in content. And I'm very pro Igbo content. I've had that discussion with Uncle Emeka Amba And I'm like, we should start pushing Igbo content out. And I'm not doing this as a competition that, Ndi Yoruba Neme Nkefa, so that Igbo people too, let's do our Ndi Yoruba Neme Nkefa. No, I'm not interested in competing with anybody. We have a voice, and we have to use that voice. And if we don't use our voice, if we don't tell our stories, other people will continue to tell the stories for us, and they'll tell it in versions that we may not be satisfied with. So,
Yes.
So please, can we start pushing out Igbo content? Let's talk about Amadioha, the origin of Amadioha. Let's talk about Nri, the foundation of Igbo land. How did the Igbo race come to be? Let's talk about all these things. We don't even have to do anything controversial. If it's going to be deemed too controversial for cinema, for public broadcasting. The Igbo way of life on its own has a lot of stories to tell. I grew up watching things fall apart. I fell in love. Look, I was singing along with Nelly Chendu when he came in for died. I still remember that song. So so you can imagine as a child, you grow up, you are watching that, and you're watching New Masquerade, Zebediah, Ovleria, Clarus, and Giringori, and you're watching all these things, and then you come out, and Natty that will hide food under the bed when he's coming to the house. Those are memories that we love. Those are memories that we cherish. Those are memories that, look, nostalgia is a big business. If you want to talk about business angle of filmmaking, nostalgia is a big business. Imagine you start a film, and at the start of your film, your opening shot is Niger Bridge with Osadebe playing in the background. You've already touched the nostalgia of almost all the Igbo people that is living outside Igbo land.
Nigeria.
So yes, even Nigeria, because when we travel, once I see Niger Bridge, I know I'm home.
Yes.
I'm from Anambra State. My hometown is like 20 minutes drive. In fact, 15 minutes drive from Onitsha. So when I see Niger Bridge, I know, I'm home. The atmosphere changes and everything, and we need to start evoking those things for people. You don't even have to travel there. Let's see it on our screen. Let our children be able to speak Igbo. I am all for Igbo cartoons. I am all for, you see the way in Docha they bring out Thor. They bring Thor, they bring views, they have cartoons, animation. Why can't we do that for Amadioha? Why can't we do that for Ikenga? Why can't we do that for every other cultural something? Why don't we have even animated Igbo programs or shows and everything? We're all busy digesting. You see somebody who has never, you see an Igbo person who has never been to Scandinavia, and they can tell you Norse mythology from beginning to the end, Thor, Odin, Loki, and the rest. But they've never been there. So and this is because of the export of their own mythology, their own beliefs outside their shores. So if they can do that, and we have people in Nigeria who have never set a foot in Norway, Finland, Scandinavia, where all those Vikings and all those where those people come from, and we still have we have those people who can even tell their history as much as they do, who can even stand toe to toe. Nigerians who they've not even seen the inside. In fact, Muritala Mohammed International Airport is where they just drive past and go. They've not entered to fly and everything, but they know Norse mythology. They know Greek mythology. They know about Zeus, about Hermes, about Mars, about Aphrodite. They know about all these things. So if we can get those kind of something, why can't we export our own? Really? And because when I start this thing, I just go off. So I try to rein myself in.
Okay, take a breather. Let's bring some questions for you, okay, and then we take it up from there. Everyone listening, I just want to remind you of our customs. Once you come into this show, it's our custom to share this space. Let everyone know that we are on. I am find them every week. Post this tweet, retweet this, post this space, retweet it, share it in your GM, share it on WhatsApp, and anywhere people can find your link and come in and join us, so we can expand the audience and let more people join us and be able to have this conversation in a broader way. Like I always say, This is the MONI show, Makodim Mandibo, where we gather to rub minds and share beautiful, useful ideas and find solutions to our collective challenges. As Ndibo, we gather from any part of the world. Every part of the world is represented in our conversations. So we have views that are very, very broad on any issue. But it's always issue-based, it's always objective, constructive, and focused on solutions. I find them today. So we're having guests, according to our topic, we're having guests who are professionals in the field of filmmaking and movie production. We have Rita Omora already here with us. Okeoko will be joining us soon. And then Uchabo will be joining us also tonight. So we can have a very, very broad, rich, and enlightening conversation. So feel free to request the mic and join us and engage our guests. You can ask questions. You can also make suggestions. Whatever you think that will enrich this conversation, bring it on. Let's move forward. If anybody has questions, please indicate so we can go with that. Priscilla, Ichibiro come joya. Priscilla, are you here? Okay, she can't hear me.
Hello, Na.
Let's proceed.
Please go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right.
Go.
So Rita, you actually asked a question now as a concern. It looks like you have tried to do some of the things you're talking about. So I'll ask you, what is your biggest challenge regarding trying to promote our culture, like going into our culture to build something around that, build a story around that, or take a story and create a movie out of that and really make it marketable and sellable? What is your challenge? What is it that creates doubt in your mind or discourages you or gets in the way of that possibility whenever you try to do this?
Okay, personally, I'm a big dreamer, so I usually do not entertain, how do I call it? Say, oh, it can't be done. To be very honest, the issue is just the same with every other thing. One is the funding, two is the creative talent. Do we have the talent that are creative, that are thorough enough to make sure, okay, let's put this thing out and let's do it properly. And I'll break it down for you. With no disrespect in my heart whatsoever, I don't watch Africa Magic Epic. I'm sorry, no disrespect in my heart. When my mom, God rest her soul, was around, she was the one watching all those things. I wasn't watching it. And because of what I saw in Things Fall Apart, I held everything to the standard of Things Fall Apart. The costumes I was seeing, I had a problem. The stories I had a problem with the stories. The stories are too linear. They've been too linear. And, it's, to be honest, I just feel these guys were just, people doing, business people who just put film together just to make money, to sell and to make their money. They're not exactly interested in the authenticity of what they are pushing out. It's, one Igwe did this, Igwe did that, and then you see the Igwe, he wears a cap that no Obi or no Eze in the whole of Igbo kingdom wears that kind of crown. You understand? The costuming is black. The story could be better. I'm not going to say the story is bad because everybody. I believe there's no bad story. It's just the telling of the story. That's where the issue is. You guys can still hear me, yeah?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah.
When you say talent, what are you referring to?
Creative
is it
talent.
every area of the process of making a movie?
Every area of the production, from the costume to the story to I don't even say director. I don't want to be fighting director. Okay?
What about actors?
Ahead to the actors. See, I'm always going to, you guys pardon me, I'm really sorry. I'm always going to go back to Things Fall Apart. The depth in acting from Things Fall Apart is mad. Is it from Unoka? Let's even leave Okonkwo from Unoka or Bierika. Even Amalinze, the small one that he did. You understand? We could see the depth of acting. But when you have a bunch of actors who just want to come run their lines and leave set, and then because at the same time, there's like everything, it comes down to finances. Good productions cost money. Let's be very honest with ourselves here. There's a saying, better soup na money killer. So good if you want to make a good production as per standard, you have to have the financial backing. Now it is difficult, which was what I was trying to harp on during the Achebe, the whole back and forth, the whole Achebe thing.
Things fall apart, yeah.
The things fall apart saga. I personally, when I saw that news, I came at it from different angles. And all angles, I believe, were very valid. I believe people were being too emotional. One. So I believe filmmaking is as much a business as it is a creative product. Three. There is no limit to licensing. You guys just said there was a things fall apart before the NTA owned. Now, the NTA own, what if those guys, do you know how ridiculous it would have sounded if those Igbo speaking things fall apart people come and say, hey, NTA is taking our things fall apart, they are speaking Igbo, they will degenerate, they will denigrate the whole thing. This one down. It just sounds funny. Licensing is, the way licensing works, it's not a forever thing. There will always be opportunity to tell that story. They just have it for a certain period of time. The period will elapse. And then any other person can go and pick it up. And, personally, I was like, look, Achebe's family were happy with selling. I cannot cry more than the bereaved. They sat down, they thought about it, they thought it was a good idea. Are we going to argue with the owners of the property? Or again, I also said, another argument, I also said, was it ever said that a Nigerian filmmaker never went to Achebe's family to ask for permission or to buy the license to shoot that? I remember Achebe, I love Achebe. I call him Papa. That's why I used to call him Papa. There was a time, like 4 or 5 years ago, I had it in my mind to do an Achebe biopic. By the time they broke these things down, the processes and everything for me, I was like, because let me just make money. And then I will now come back and address that.
What process are you referring to? Is it the demands of the publishing
it's not,
guy?
It's not even, it's the family. You have to go and talk to the family.
Okay.
Remember Adadevo's family were fighting this guy when they did that movie, 93 Days. They fought. So you would always have to go and talk to the family because you don't want to misrepresent their patriarch. Achebe is a global figure, and he's a father. He was a father and a family man. So the way you portray him, you also have to put into consideration the family he left behind, how they're going to see the way you portrayed him. So by the time they broke all these things and plus the legal and everything, and I was like, see, small me. And when I'm up to how much in my account.
so if like there's a budget expectation.
Ego with the cake itself.
So tell us how this works. If you want to adapt a novel, like an iconic novel such as Things Fall Apart, or even any other one, there are many of them, but Things Fall Apart seems to be the giant. So if you want to adapt one of these novels, can you tell about the process? What is it that is required by both the family and the publisher of the novel to be able to get the license?
I think you go to the family. I think the family first before the publisher. You have to approach the family. They have to give you. They have to, and I think the publishers. There's a whole legal process. I'm not. I can't remember everything, but there's an entire legal process about securing the right to remake it. And you have to talk to the publisher. You have to just talk to the family. The publishers will make their demands. The family, the estate will make their. It costs money. At the end of the day. Now, how much? When there was an argument, how much will it cost? Because I knew somebody spent the entire morning arguing with me how Things Fall Apart. It will not cost up to $1 million to secure the right. I was like, excuse me. The title alone, Achebe turned down 50 cents. 50 Cent offered 1 million. Actually, they turned it down.
I remember that. That was like 8
same
years ago. So
13, 14 years.
So you were talking about the demands and what is required to be able to adapt a novel in Nigeria, and somebody said that $1 million should be able to do Things Fall Apart. Why does one need $1 million? Is it the money that will pay to the family that own the copyrights, or money that should be paid to the publishers, or both? And then when you find anything like royalty sharing arrangements, so that as you make sales or do cinema or put it on live stream platforms, you gonna put the revenues from that, and I can count when you pay the $1 million or $10 million or whatever to the owners for license. Does that mean that anything else that comes from the movie in terms of streaming or cinema goes straight to you? How does it work?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. So if somebody said that $1 million should be able to take care of the licensing, right? And you said no, that's a joke. All right, guys, Kaina Kaligodin, Anambra first son, Ndewo, welcome.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, brother.
Can you hear me? I can hear you clearly. Can you hear me?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you guys hear me? Priscilla, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I
think she has to.
I can hear you now.
Maybe you have to let her go, then bring her back.
Okay.
At this point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rita, you might need to exit the space and return. I think it will improve.
That's very true.
So, good evening, everybody. I welcome all of us. Please kindly share this space across your timeline. We'd like to have more people join us to have this very wonderful conversation. And the topic is very important to every Igbo person. And I have listened to the conversation so far. It's very rich. It's very important that we are talking about soft power is something that we must take very seriously. And the filmmaking industry in Nigeria has a very long history, and you can never tell the history completely without talking about the impact and the influence of Igbo culture and Igbo people. And where are we today, and where do we move from here is what we're going to be talking about. And we have people who are playing in the sector to give us their opinion and what they think or what we should do as a people to upscale our place and make it better. If you look around you, see that our stories are very much untold. There are so many of them. If you cast your mind back, there are so many stories untold. The world is waiting for us to tell our stories. And I always tell people, Things Fall Apart is like the Igbo Bible. It has really cleared a lot of bushes and roads, paved ways for us. So the narrative or the storytelling that is coming from Africa, particularly Nigeria, is always viewed from that prism of Things Fall Apart. So it is important to know that we have a very strong advantage in this sector if we only play our game very well. What Rita was talking about is very important because funding is very key in creative space. And if you look at where we were before, when Nollywood was operating in Enugu and Asaba, it was
Uche, can you still? I can't hear you, Uche. We can't hear you anymore.
Can you
continue.
Hear me?
Go on.
So I was talking about the people who played in the sector. They were traders. These were businessmen and women who wanted to make their money. The marketers, they call themselves. They would just bring money and make movies and get their return back. They didn't have any long-term plan. They did not understand the value or the soft power that is within the filmmaking. They were just seeing it as a trading or business. Really, specifically, they were seeing it as business. So the reason why it is eluding our people at this point is the funding at this point comes from a very a huge chunk. You can't use just $1 million to shoot a very quality movie. That does not mean that you cannot come up with something very interesting, but because of the way it is structured, especially within Asaba, you find out that people who are funding it are mainly traders, people who have a few amount of money. But here in Lagos, you see corporate sectors funding this. You see people with deep bags funding the movies that will be going to Netflix. If you have to deep in your bag, you have to also get serious fund, people who are going to fund the movie for it to have the kind of quality that will, take it to Netflix, Amazon Prime, or other platforms. So that is what we lack, that corporate sector, that's capable of funding these projects. Another thing is the ecosystem. We do not have in the region. And this is something that I always, when our people come out to talk about how poor the African Magic Epic movies are, how poor the Asaba movies are, I look at it from different perspectives. Number one, these people are doing what they can do and they are serving a particular audience. The village people, the woman in the village, the market woman in the village, these are the people they are serving. And these people do not have access to cinema and they cannot subscribe to Netflix and they will not have access to some of those top quality movies. So they can only enjoy these ones and of course they can only relate to that. So it's having a market and if it has a very huge market at that. So while this was going on for over 2 decades, our people failed to establish ecosystem that will sustain and improve on what was happening at the time. There was no academy, there was no film village, there was no platform. Nothing came from that era. From 1999, as far as we can remember, till maybe 2016, when the whole thing fizzled out, nothing came out from that. So it's a very huge failure on our part because we failed to leave a very strong institutions
But Uche,
that would.
Uche, do you think that the people, we the audience, we the viewers, so quite cause this problem? Do you think we are contributing to the challenge? Because I've seen people complain about a few things. One of them is even Rita mentioned something like that on I think she mentioned that when we're talking about TFA, things like that. And they kuna movie pota. Now anyone abun this in the JJ well internet download where for free, and how do you expect the people who produce the movie to be able to recoup some money or enough money when everybody is more focused on downloading it for free? Madu some time ago, and I referred the person to the music industry, how the music industry has evolved over time with the help of the internet and the digital media technology and all that. So everything has now gone full circle to the point that we are now free and comfortable to just stream music rather than looking for music to download all the time. So don't you think the people also are contributing grossly to this challenge? Maybe we need a change of attitude as in Igbo. What do you think? What's your take about that? Okay, I can't hear you anymore. All right, we actually have another one of our guests here already joining us. He was supposed to come in after some time. He told me that he will come in after some time, so I can see him on the space now. So I'm assuming that he is ready to speak. Rita is still struggling to get back, but we're working on that to see how soon we can bring her back on the conversation. We have here another Nigerian movie producer, director, cinematographer, born in Enugu, a son of a popular musician of the 70s and 80s by the name Godi Oko and Winifred Oko. Some people don't know this, but he is a brother to one of the most popular Nigerian producers and mixing engineers, and also artists by the name Sele Bobo. He is also very good at music, but people don't know that too. He has recorded a lot of albums as an artist and produced a lot of albums, but he has somehow evolved and pivoted into filmmaking, and he has gone very deep into it. He has produced very, very good movies that have done well, even on Netflix. I will leave it to him to talk about them when it comes up. But we're talking about none other than Okechukwu Oko on the space. Welcome, Oko, to the MONI Show. How you doing?
Welcome.
Ndewo.
Ndewo wanne.
Ibatasia finally.
Nice Fulanian.
Forgive me.
I love this. I'm not much of a talker, an orator. Yes, I just know how to sit back and walk, But I love this space because it's good we have this conversation, because I think we have a fundamental problem as Igbos, which the only way we can solve is if those who have common, mind, who have like minds, can start doing the right thing. Because if we can complain from here to tomorrow about the ills that we experience or things that are not working well, and if we don't do anything about it, we will keep coming back and complain about it. So I think the best thing is for those who have like minds, who those things worry, to unite and start doing something about it. So yeah, I'm a filmmaker. I've done music for more than 2 decades. But here, at least I'm doing my own little quarter with respect to filmmaking. I have 2 films on Netflix that has done well, and I have 4 films on Amazon Prime. So I think some of the things that we're discussing, I'll be in a good position to give my own take with respect to my own personal experience. I may not have the final say, or I don't have all the knowledge with respect to what is going on in the industry, but I can only speak to what I've experienced. So, yes, most of our major problem is aside attitude of our own attitude, we have a funding problem. My sister said that we don't have some professionals, Yeah, to an extent, but to be very honest with you, we have some really good guys in the industry that people don't even know of. Some of them have left the country out of frustration because it seems like they're wasting their time, but they are fantastic filmmakers. So I think we have, aside the funding problem, we also have a problem within ourselves with respect to how do we see our own products. Because if we don't even talk about our products, at least in our own little quarter, do you understand? Try to kind of like have our backs with respect to the things that we produce. We'll end up having people who get frustrated out after doing stuff and nobody even knows about it. Nobody even talks about it. I know of an Igbo film that we have been trying to push out there, made by a prodigy who has finally relocated to Canada, and he's a fantastic filmmaker. He does a very good job, but he's got frustrated out of it and out of the country after making such an amazing film with such talent. So we have a fundamental problem. And personally, my take on how I've been able to push the needle a little bit from my own side is you gotta do what you gotta do. You have to think of what can you personally do to move the needle at least a little bit. And that's what we've been doing. Yes, I've not done the very loud film, but I can proudly say that I've done a film that has been on the top 10. I've been number 1 on Netflix for about a week. And the film was done with a low budget, so to say, a low budget, but done well to the extent that it came out as number 1, But it didn't garner that kind of power, because the funding to push it to that level wasn't available, So, but if we speak with one mind somehow, it would have helped balance off that lack of funding. That's the truth. Because I know that from my own personal experience, I remember when one of my films was number one on Netflix, and someone came to a space and said, we're not talking about our person's film that is on number one on Netflix. And people were complaining that he did not come and drop money for us. Do you understand? It's not as if the money is there. Why people are in this space to make money. Yeah, I get that. But some people don't have it. You understand? But when some of these other big stars release films without even spending one kobo to some of those people, they will gladly spread the word. So we have a fundamental problem. So I don't agree with the assertion that we don't have talents. We do have talents. We still have talents, even in Enugu. Fantastic filmmakers that people don't even know about.
I guess you're referring to Black Rose when you're talking about the movie that got into the top 10 on Netflix, right?
Actually, two of them got to top 10. Black Rose was on top 10, but it didn't make it to number one. It was number 3 before it went down. The more recent one that was number 1 for 1 week was Strained.
Oh, yeah.
Number 1 for 1 week.
So how were you able to create? Because Netflix has a standard that you have to meet, some requirements, like some requirements you have to meet to be able to qualify to join. I don't know, to be taken into the Netflix database. I don't know how it works. Get over the process. Why is it that most Nigerian, especially in the Igbo, movies produced for the Igbo culture or by Igbos, how come we don't see a lot of them on Netflix? What do you think are the challenges?
Without casting disparage on other streaming platforms, because as far as I'm concerned, do you understand? So yes. People are doing YouTube and they're making millions. Keep doing it. But when you come to a streaming platform, you can't force what other platforms take into their own platform. You have to look at what do they want. Do you understand? Because the truth is that Netflix needs content to survive. They're not doing you a favor. Do you understand? They need it. So if you give them something that they need, they will come after it. Do you understand? So it's not like you are doing a film and you are saying, why are they not taking my film? You have not you have not brought something that they need. If you have something they need, they will come after you. Do you understand? So the truth is, what makes the difference between what is on a platform like YouTube or what is on something like Africa Magic and the Netflix is style. You can have the same story told in different ways. Do you understand? If you bring this, like I'm about to do a project for someone, they brought the script. The way the script is, it will work well on YouTube. It will not work on Netflix. The same script, we doctored it, fixed it, changed the language, changed the style, the same story, and it changed, and it became content for Netflix. So it is approach, the way you do it. There are ways you shoot film, you cannot shoot it in Netflix like that. You cannot come out. You understand? Okay, go ahead.
Yes. No, go ahead. Let me let you finish what you're saying.
Yeah, so I want to give an example. People stand on the road, for instance, and they are talking. In Africa Magic, you can have 2 people stand in the whole street, only them. And you know that is not possible. Do you understand?
Yes.
You will have to move people around. You have to move people around and make it feel believable. While in YouTube, you are trying to save costs because you can't afford extras. So you want to just get them in a secluded area and take your shot. They will appreciate it in YouTube. If you bring it on Netflix, they will throw it away because it's not realistic. Do you understand? Bringing in realism into your film costs money. And when people cannot afford it, they simply remove themselves from that platform, the Netflix platform. It's just simple. So if you are ready to do a Netflix thing, you have to be ready not to cut corners.
So when you're talking about style, does that include standard quality? Or just only approach? Because I'm hearing 2 things. Style, that is approach. Then you also say some things that have to do with standard just now. Or both of them.
When you talk of quality, I want to understand you mean picture quality, right?
quality of the picture, quality of the directing, quality of the scenes, quality of the cinematography. Okay, that's picture quality. Then acting too.
You can shoot lovely picture and it will still end up in YouTube. It's not just picture quality. It is the style of shoot. You can shoot with the best cameras on earth and it will still end up in YouTube. It's not camera. It is the style of shoot. And that's what so many people get wrong. I see people rush or say, if you want to shoot Netflix, go and get this giant camera. At the end of the day, they do a beautiful YouTube film. Very lovely looking YouTube film that will still not end up in Netflix. To be very honest with you, my first film on Netflix was shot with one of the cheapest cameras. It's not the camera, it is the approach, the style. Wow. You understand?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's where people get it wrong. It's not what you use, it's how you use it.
So when we have 4K, 8K, doesn't really apply that much.
The only time it becomes important is if Netflix is paying you to shoot for them. If they commission you to shoot an original, they will now bake you into certain equipment. But if you are bringing your own content to them, do you understand? Use whatever works for you as long as it looks good and as long as the story is fantastic and you tell the story believably well, they will take it. The only thing is, to what extent, what are they paying you will determine how much money you invested in the film. You can't shoot a film with 5 million naira and you want them to pay you $500,000. It's not going to work because they produce films. So they know when you bring a cheap film, they know the range that they can pay you that will be fitting. But when you spend money and do some powerful things like some of these Yorubas are doing, these guys are spending $1 million, $800,000 on a film. So you don't expect to be paid the same thing that they are paid. You can see how it translates into believable, massive projects. Do you understand?
When you're talking about them paying you, are you talking about the upfront payment or the streaming revenue?
Netflix commissions producers.
Okay.
That's when it becomes original. Do you understand? There are so many.
Yes.
There are so many contents on Netflix that if you look at it, it doesn't have the N logo. There are two kinds of original, but let's go with one. Let's go with the name original. Original simply means Netflix owns it to an extent. Do you understand? In other words, they bought it off you and they own it, or they funded it. Do you understand?
So are they funding the script, or they are funding what exactly are they funding?
They are funding the entire project.
So you show them the script before they fund, or they see a level of the movie production before they come in.
If you want to pitch for them to funding, that is if you are someone that they have developed relationship with your capacity, and they want to fund you, you start with pitching a story, a script.
Okay.
If you get your script right, you've done 50% of the work. And that's where so many people fail it. Once you get your script right, you have done 50% of the work, because a script in a movie is like laying foundation for your house. If that foundation is faulty, everything you build on it will be rubbish. So people fail on that front. You understand? So once you pitch to them, they are looking at your story first before they can fund.
All right, Nna, thank you so much for all you've said so far. Thank God you're talking about storyline. I'm leaning towards cultural representation here, right? So in what ways do you think that Igbo cultural values can be authentically represented in film? Authentically? Because, the few that we see around, in what ways do you think it can be authentically done?
I think the Yorubas have answered that question with their authenticity in their own film. Do you understand? If we can approach our own the way they are approaching it, that's it. You cannot say you want to do an Igbo film. You go and do one thing that doesn't pass the smell test, and you want to compare it with what they are doing. Do you understand? We are rich in culture, I agree. But when we want to tell it, we don't do research. We don't do the things that will make it come out well, which will naturally translate into heavy funding. Do you understand? It will translate into heavy funding. And the thing is that we love short-term investment. Do this, get the money the next day. When you are doing anything for Netflix or all these bigger streaming platforms, you have to be patient because it takes time. Production like that might take for us, might take like a month or two, although Hollywood takes way more than that, And then you look at post-production process, might take about 4 months again. And then you give it to them, wait about some 5-6 months again. Some people, when you tell them that, they will just lose confidence. They'll just lose hope. and look for where they can go and get money immediately. And that is the problem. If you are talking of Netflix, you have to be patient, and we don't have patience.
Okay, so are you saying that our lack of patience is affecting the authenticity of the, that is being represented in our movies, correct?
Lack of patience affects us getting the funding, because if you are looking for funding, you have to look for someone who believes in the process, who believes in the time it takes for that recovery to come. And generally, when you are looking for funding from people, if you want to do an Igbo stuff, you want to go to an Igbo person now, an Igbo rich person to fund, or an Igbo financier, and they too don't have patience. So what I do, because I've tried to get funding, I've tried to appeal to so many people. I have projects in my cupboard dated 2014 that I've been keeping because I can't fund it. I've been keeping for the time when I can do it. And I've been doing smaller ones that I can personally generate revenue, raise the funding and do. And that has been the 2 on Netflix and the 4 on Amazon Prime. So for those jobs to be there means we are doing something right. But we have not done those other ones that you want because they cost a ton of money. And the problem is that to be able to get that kind of funding, you have to deal with somebody who understands and believes in the process and is willing to be part of it.
Since Netflix has successfully or has shown how, I believe that Netflix is a very authentic platform, right? And everything from the back end, you can see it, and even from the front end, you can see it. So it kind of provides you all the information you need to garnish your pitch to investors. Okay, Netflix, this is how Netflix works. This is how much Netflix pays for every view or for every 1,000 views of this particular movie, depending on the length of the movie, and these are the factors that we consider. This is how much Netflix can pay. This is the market. This is where the market comes from. This is the locations where we have our audience from, and this is the kind of movies they are looking for. This is what we have to offer. This is how many months or how many years it takes, and this is how much that can come in 1 year. This is how much is required to meet the Netflix standard, or whatever they are expecting of us. So does that help you in the process of pitching to investors when you have all this information?
That helps you.
Because you've already achieved some success. So does that kind of give you some kind of a springboard to be able to jump higher or be able to approach even bigger people with bigger funds?
So I'm speaking as someone who don't have connection to some gatekeepers, because I believe that there are some people as well who, when they see talent, they're already there as gatekeepers and they can speak to 1 or 2 people and funding will come out. So I'm speaking as someone who don't have access to such gatekeepers. When you don't have that kind of advantage, you will need those information to be able to prepare whatever you are pitching. And it has to be so freaking good. Do you understand? Your pitch needs to be very, very. They need to see the money they will make from your script. If they don't see it, they are not going to invest, because platforms, they need funding, and so they need content. You understand? When an example, when Disney left Netflix, it affected them. But what did they do? They moved into Africa and Korea and all these other places and started looking for stuff, and they got something from what's this title that scattered last year? Squid Game. They didn't spend.
Yes.
They didn't spend as much as they spent in Disney work on Squid Game, but it became one of the, if not the biggest streamed content at the time. Do you understand? And that is why they are interested in this side, because they don't spend as much. But trust me, what they are willing to invest here will still translate into something massive for us from this side, because we are used to doing small jobs. We are used to using our little widow's mite to push and just do as much as we can do. And that is primarily the fundamental problem that we have. There are so many ideas that people will have, but they can't translate that idea to something material because they can't afford it. Do you understand?
So if the script is the issue here, I will ask 2 questions. One, Netflix is interested in funding projects. Does it mean that we don't have enough scripts coming from our people that impress them, that they find impressive enough to fund? Because I'm not going to fund after Lionheart. I don't know. Can you speak to that? And we'll go other people. Netflix fund their project when if movie Pasali Igbo.
Well, to correct you, they didn't fund Lionheart. Lionheart was shot before they came in.
Oh, okay. So how did they come in? Did they pay, or is it just revenue from stream?
They bought it off.
Okay, they bought it. Okay, so that's the difference.
You don't see money from them to sponsor. That's where I now say you need people to believe in what you have. You understand? If you understand all the rules and you see that there's marketability in what you have, if you get the funding from somewhere else, you understand, and you do it, Netflix will buy it. Netflix will buy it.
So when they buy it, you don't expect revenue anymore. You just take your money and move on.
It depends.
Is it outright?
It depends on the deal. I can't say that I know for sure the exact terms of the deal they have, but I know that from my own personal experience, once they pay, they own it.
Wow.
They own it. I don't know to what extent, whether they own the right to the script, but I know they own the product, which is the film. You know? Okay,
so this is the question that I'll ask now, because you have given me an insight. I guess most people have seen the picture I'm going to talk about now. Netflix, TFA, Things Fall Apart, was discussed 2 weeks ago and a week ago on social media, because people saw the news, the breaking news that Oyolowo and Idris Elba are going into producing a remake of Things Fall Apart TV show. So people are now saying, why a foreigner? I mean, who? Because we have seen what it looks like when an Igbo man takes up that character or those characters and represent them, interpret them the way we do things. It's authentic, it's easy to relate to, it's connecting to our souls. And then people are now questioning the possibility that someone who has never lived in Africa by the name Idris Elba, how will he be able to speak the Igbo words that he will have to speak at some point, and even the expressions? How will he be able to bring out all those things the way we do it? Even sometimes, even body movement, you know. I'm even known for Peter Docheme those days. I can remember some of them even now as I'm talking. So people are concerned about that. Then where's there other schools of thought fundable issue? So I'm wondering, what a connection between Netflix and this particular Things Fall Apart script? Or is it possible that Things Fall Apart will be a big story enough for someone to be able to have been able to present to Netflix as a project they should fund? Because I mean, it's the biggest story from Africa, arguably. What do you think about it?
Okay, so like I said, I will speak to what I know, or to what I believe is happening. If I answer whether Netflix would have taken it, let me answer the part where you say this Idris is coming in, and some people are worried. Yes, they have reasons to be worried, because we love our culture, yes, and we have this thing where we want our own people to do our own thing. But you have to understand that the investors are looking at the market from a different perspective. Idris is a big name. You understand? It is a big brand. Like, his name on your film, you are no longer talking about Nigeria again. Do you understand?
Yes.
Then secondly, there is no evidence that they will retain the full 100% Igbo language in the film. No evidence. Do you understand? There's no evidence.
Yes.
So if you have watched a film called Beast of No Nation, you will understand that they have a direction that they might possibly be taking, because Beast of No Nation was shot in South Africa. It was supposed to be an African story. Idris played in it, and it was fantastic. It was fantastic. And I think Netflix later bought that for $100 million. Yes, I think so.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm just guessing, but I think I heard a figure like that. You understand? So
yes.
Is it possible that they will make it and will love it? It is possible. It depends on. I know that there has been a film done that was written by an Igbo person, and they brought in foreigner, and they do it quite well. Yes, that has happened. But it has also happened that there is another story that was meant to be an all African cast, and Idris was brought in, and it was fantastic. So let's just watch. But the truth is that I know of some people who have made attempts to try the Things Fall Apart story. Do you understand? I know people.
Oh, really?
Yes, because I've been offered. I still have a booklet of the Things Fall Apart project in my shelf. I've been offered to direct that story, but unfortunately, the family wanted it to be more international. So I'm going to say let's leave the family alone because they know what they want to do. Do you understand?
Yes.
So make that determination. If that's how they want their story to go, it is their story. They can make that decision. Let's create other things fall apart. Let's not hang on things fall apart as if that's the only thing that can come out from the Igbo side. We have stories, so let's create something else. If that is gone, we can create more. Do you understand? So let's not just depend on things fall apart.
I guess the reason why people are so, like Uche said at some point, I guess why people are so particular about that is because it seems to be the flagship, the example, the reference points. So people feel like what you hold so dear, and you're wondering if these people are going to, misappropriate this or just mess this up. Because then we'll example already. Before I thought it doesn't exist, it would have been different. But then we'll go one, we're two. So, but I understand what you're saying, and it makes a lot of sense. There are so many stories even many novels that are amazing novels that can be adapted. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let me
have it. Like I said earlier, I have a script that is Igbo and a language unknown. That's fictitious. Igbo and a language which I called Femora, right? So just to give you an idea. It's a crazy idea, but I can't attempt it because it's huge. You understand my point? I've pitched it to Amazon. I've pitched it. I've not pitched to Netflix, but I've pitched to Amazon, and Amazon loved it until the point where Amazon moved out of Nigeria or stopped production from Nigeria. They loved that story, but for years before they came in, I have not been able to find a way to do it. So, and I'm very sure that there are so many other filmmakers with crazy creative ideas like that and are starved of funding. So what they will do is they look for the things that they can do and get money. Do you understand? And that's the problem.
This is getting very interesting. This is getting interesting. Rita, we'll get into. We'll actually look into this very well. When noise in the background. I don't know who that is, but please help us. Rita, you've been listening to our discussion with Oko for a few minutes now. What's your take?
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for coming on. Okay, more or less reiterated a lot of what I'm thinking, what I'm saying and what I'm thinking. I know he disagreed with me on the talent bit, but okay, let's be factual. Compared, what's the ratio of the talents to the general scope? The general number of people working. The real talents are not a lot. And when you said when you talked about research, I said that's the thing. Research goes down. It goes down to the talents who will be thorough with research. Okay, nowadays we have people who just may we do them. Like you said, may we do them. Let's just do it and get it out there and make the money. People don't want to be patient. People don't want to do the nitty-gritty. People don't want to go through the fine lines and everything. And the thing about talent, your talent doesn't grow if you are not investing in your talent. And what does it take to invest in your talent? It takes time. The things fall apart thing. Personally, yes, I also agree with what you said. There are many ways to tell a story. Like I said it before, there are many ways to tell a story. Things fall apart can be told from different angles. People can come. What stops Koreans from saying, okay, let's come and tell a Korean version of Things Fall Apart? What stops Latin Americans from coming to say, okay, let's tell the Latin American version of Things Fall Apart? It is a story that can be told in so many ways. I understand people, getting apprehensive about, the translation of culture and everything. But the thing is, at the root of it all, story can be told in many different ways. And there are many other stories. Cyprian and Quincy's books are there. This Achebe had no longer at ease, man of the people. There are so many other stories to be told. And again, like I said before, Things Fall Apart. It's not what is to say that A24 bought the rights for life. What's to say that 10 years down the line or 5 years down the line, even 10 years is far, 5 years down the line, Things Fall Apart will not be free for another filmmaker to make. There's already two versions before. these guys are looking at the international market. And right now, I'm sorry, we don't have the, for lack of a better term, gravitas for the international, so as in for the international market. They are going to, I don't know how they're going to interpret it. We don't know how they're going to do it. For all we know, they can decide, oh, they're going to even set it in a corporate setting, in an English setting, in a corporate, or they will make it a Wakanda wannabe and everything. But at the end of the day, it's up to us. There are many stories. Things Fall Apart is not the only story out of Southeast Nigeria. There are many other stories to tell. It's the greatest story, yes, but it is not the only story. And
I agree with you.
And again, it all boils down to putting your money where your mouth is. We can't talk, but we are not financially backing it up. We're not walking the talk. It doesn't, people will just laugh at you and say, you're not serious, I beg, and go. See what the Southwest is doing. They had Basharu Gad, this House of God that Bolale Osipita did. It's not even the first film about Basharu Gad. There was another older one that aired in the 90s or something. Before then, Ogunde was doing films. But these people are coming out, they're telling stories, they're telling their stories, and they're bringing out different. Lishabi is another story about a warrior in Ogun State. So why are we hung up on one story? There are many stories to tell. And we can how do you call it? We can always create more. Let's just celebrate, let's just push the Igbo values, Igbo cultures, Igbo way of life. That's what we're here for. Let's not get hung up on, because at the end of the day, it looks like, it's only Things Fall Apart that came out of Igbo land. But meanwhile, there's many stories told by fantastic Igbo writers.
I agree with you. I want to ask you, what do you think about, what's your experience? Okay, I've been talking with about Netflix and the issues with getting on Netflix and the challenges and the benefits also. What's your experience with Netflix?
Well, I haven't dealt directly with Netflix, but I've interacted with people who deal directly with Netflix and everything. Right now, Netflix now is looking at story. I understand that they've turned down a lot of films because the story was too, was too pedestrian. So Netflix, that's why if you notice, there's a lot of epic stories coming up, because they are now, the information I got was that Netflix is more interested in telling authentic African, Nigerian, our own cultural stories.
Stories, oh.
Yes.
Rightfully
and
so.
Everything yes. And Okechukwu, I agree with Okechukwu. I say everything boils down to story. If you don't get the story right, they will not answer you. They will not look at you. So you have to calm down. If you want to go to Netflix tomorrow with a story, you have to make sure that story is not the everyday story we see. They've turned down a lot of titles. I can name some titles. I don't have the permission to name them, but I have heard of titles that they turned down that I was like, whoa. I was shocked, because they are looking for, yes, there's space for Cosmopolitan, but please come and tell us your culture. Come and show us your culture. Anikulapo made a hit. These other two epic films. I've forgotten their names and everything. Those ones too. One was on, I think one was on Prime, the other, then we now have Vishabi, we have House of God. So if the Southwest is getting, like I said, no competition, but I personally believe Southwest filmmakers have hacked it. And we have to key in to that as well and tell our own stories. We have plenty stories. We just need to sit down. We need to sit down with the custodians of this culture. We need to sit down with the custodians of these stories, and we have to start telling the stories.
Right. I'm going to come back to you. We would like to take some questions soon. Okay. I think you want to chime in here. Your hand is raised.
Okay. Yeah. When she was mentioning we have other stories, I wanted to say we have Obi Goes to School. That is a story. That's it. So it can develop into something powerful. You know, as simple as that title is, if you tell it well, you might shock the world.
Is it Eze Goes to School? You're referring to?
There's the bottled leopard. Nobody has said anything about the bottled leopard. In all the arguments I was hearing back and forth, nobody mentioned the bottled leopard. And then if one UK production, sorry?
Remember Chinagorum was a literature we read in school. I don't know.
I don't think I heard of that one.
Yeah, I saw it in Igbo class or something. Chinagorum.
Oh. But the thing is now we're sitting there, we're so hung up on one title. By the time we hear, a UK company, another UK company has come for bottled leopard, has come for No Longer at Ease, has come for Man of the People, has come for Cyprian Ekwensi's book, has come for Passport of Madamilia, then we'll start shouting. But what have we been doing since?
I'm wondering.
From experience, I know someone that did a film and tried submitting it to Netflix from outside the country. And he was told that anything that is coming from, I don't know how true that is, but anything that is coming from Africa, because we are rich in as culture, our stories have that social value to it. Do you understand? That so anything that you're doing that has to appeal to that has to be seen as something from Africa, even if it's being shown outside Africa, must contain loads of social value. And now we see most of our people trying to make film from the West perspective, trying to do action film that there's nothing. Okay, when you finish the film, what did you learn? Nothing. Do you understand? While those stories would do well that side because it's their culture and they know how to entertain, we have not gotten to that level that much. Ours is rich in culture and social value. But now we are beginning to make a lot of films that have lost it in those social value. And I think when someone called me and said, I don't understand why they took one of my films, Strained. It's not those giant films, but it's a film that addresses a part of the domestic violence that nobody has tried to talk about. Do you understand? And you do it in a way that is still entertaining. And then once you do that, they will take it. So there are so many ways we have stories that we can explore. When you have those stories, you also have to understand that there is a style to it. When you get that, when you match the story and the style that Netflix wants, they will take it. They need it.
All right.
I mean, nobody has even tried to tell the story of like an Akwamozu in Igbo land. Have we?
There are too many stories.
The whole process. The whole process of Akwamozu.
I wonder. There's some questions that are on my mind, but I don't want to make this about me and just you guys. I would like other people to join the conversation so that we can make it more accommodating of other perspectives beyond mine and yours. So we'll bring them in now. You are listening to the MONI show. MONI is an acronym for Maka Odimma Ndi Igbo. This is a conversation for Igbos all over the world where we gather, rub minds and share ideas to find solutions to our collective challenges as Ndi Igbo, as a way to move forward together. And today, as you can see, we are talking about promoting Igbo cultural values through filmmaking. That is storytelling and all that, from the beginning to the end of the process. And we have some real practically endowed when it comes to making of creative films as Ndi Igbo, who have also tried a lot to portray our culture in good light. We have them on this conversation as professionals. We have Okeoku and we have Rita Omura. We're also expecting one more person. I don't know when he's going to come in, but he gave me his word. Uchabo is meant to join us here. But right now we have these two people, and so far we are having a beautiful conversation. And if you would like to join...
We also have Ben Obonna here.
Oh, okay. Thank you for letting me know that. We have Ben here as well. So we are just having a conversation. I'm at as in Igbo. And it's Joy Dwajugi, or if you prefer me to Igbo, feel free. Guy has also press prayer since. chọkwa isi Igbo a na-asụkwa Igbo ebe a nọ ịghọtago ọ nke ọbụla kwere onye eme ya mee. So feel free to join us here and bring in your questions or bring in your perspectives, and let's see how let's compare and see how this works for us. One more question before I wrap up the end. Okay, let's just have let's entertain some opinions. Since we have another professional here, Ben Obonna. Ben, welcome to the MONI Show.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Uche, thank you for saving me. I can't afford more for since. What to go when you like? The thing is, this is a very wonderful conversation. To be frank, I've been listening, and I couldn't even but I couldn't go back to it because this has always been about what I have fused my entire life into: visual storytelling. I don't call it filmmaking. I call it visual storytelling because the problem with Africans, Nigerians, Igbos in general, is that we lose the value of things the moment we give it a name that we feel is suitable for it. Whereas we have not asked ourselves, why is this thing answering this name? Why is this thing like this? And that thing will kind of affect the way we think about that thing, and go on to kind of destroy a lot of other things for us. Before I continue, I want to also extend greetings to certain other persons who are here. Kunye Media, thank you for organizing this space. Okioku, I think your name precedes your. I can't say that in Amaron, but it's been a long time coming, and maybe a few other persons on this space. Now, first of all, let me just give us a background, okay? I think so far so good. The direction of this conversation is on the right path, but there is a part it's not actually touching, the part of intentionality. Now, when I teach actors acting, there is a part of acting that we'll call a kind of acting technique that we'll call the method acting, propounded by Konstantin Stanislavski, a Russian American director. But then I don't want to talk about acting now. I just want to talk about something I always tell them. It's all about a circle. It's all about a circle. The given circumstances, the objectives, the super objectives, and then the magic if, yeah? But then it's all about a small circle. We lack that in the entertainment space when it comes to Igbos, intentionality and focus. You see, that small circle is every single focus. Like you could be in a crowd and everybody is talking and shouting and doing whatever it is they are doing. As an actor, you put your eyes on that circle and stay focused and stay glued to it. Because why? You have defined, you've done your scene work, you've done your script analysis as an actor, and then you are focused on that circle. Nothing takes you away from that circle. That's our problem as entertainers in this space, yeah? And I think when we were having this conversation, I had the likes of Mr. Okeoku say something about, he made a reference to the Yoruba, filmmakers, how they have answered a part. I want to go to the thing, the far as I go the ajuju and all of those things. And I gave him a thumbs down immediately. I don't think anybody in Africa, apart from South Africans, I don't think anybody in Africa has actually understood what visual storytelling is all about. Visual storytelling transcends. Maybe let me not generalize. Let me say people do understand it, but then it always boils down to what all of us already know, which is funding. So let me put it that way. The opportunity. So let me just say that the agents who are standing between the funders and the creatives are the major problem here. So to actually give my background, let me just bring up a little bit some of the things I need us to look at. Throughout this conversation, we've been talking about, please, I don't know if I can still be heard. Hello?
We can hear you.
All right, thank you.
We'll engage you with questions soon. So once you're done with what you're saying, we'll bring in questions.
All right. Throughout these conversations, we'll be talking about adaptation. My brother, I need us to understand it's just like an endless possibility. In the last 50 years, yeah, let me put it that way. In the last 50 years, it's a mad neighbor, a banker. Hey, Guinea, Fiode, today, this thing is not working. And today, I'm telling you that in the next 50 years, two things are going to stand up. And that will be entertainment and technology. You see these two things, they will stand up. All right? So the question is, our people have not even begin to ask ourselves questions like, what are the possibilities in this field? Now, let me tell you, when you go to civilized cities, I want to use the American cinema as an example, which is nicknamed Hollywood. When you go to developed cities and the way they do their thing, you realize something. They understood what they wanted. They placed focus on what they wanted, and then they did what we call division of labor. The likes of James Cameron, there are movies you see him make. There are pictures you see him produce. The likes of Christopher Nolan, there are movies you see him produce. The likes of Quentin Tarantino, the likes of Martin Scorsese, the likes of Steven Spielberg, the likes of Stanley Kubrick, his blessed memory. There are movies you see them produce, right? Because all right? So these are things we have not been able to ask ourselves. When Uche was talking about something, I don't know if we grabbed what Uche said. Uche said something about ecosystem. We don't have an ecosystem. That is where everything surrounds. Because when you go to Hollywood, for example, Hollywood on its own is an ecosystem of filmmakers. And then they realize, okay, instead of just being an ecosystem for filmmakers, let us even convert it into some sort of an estate. And that's what you're looking at today. So inside Hollywood, there are industries and trade associations on entertainment. And each of these things, as at last year, Hollywood films, as per mass media entertainment industry, generated $504 billion. You can't talk about the same thing about 70 years ago. They were just rising. So if I but Igbos can set themselves on a beautiful precedent. And I can never, and I will never use Lagos or any place, around this Western Africa when it comes to filmmaking as a standard. They have not even started understanding visual storytelling. There are 5 different industries that, houses about 500 different small industries of entertainment under it. You're talking about exhibition entertainment, you're talking about live entertainment, you're talking about mass media entertainment, you're talking about digital entertainment, you're talking about electronic entertainment, when we talk about games. Now, could you imagine the modern or an there akoko deliko? They say I want to film just for the sake of gaming. Do you know how much PlayStation will come for you? Netflix. I don't have time for Netflix. Honestly speaking, I don't really think when the time comes, I will have time for Netflix, because Netflix are the ones who need me. I don't need Netflix, right? Because in the Ifoketa, just like Mr. Kuroku said it, these guys are content hunters. And when you have me one certain time, I was part of it, but then at some point I realized what they were trying to do, and then I pulled myself away. These people are actual content. Hollywood on its own is looking for. They are even coming down to this place to pick up our, just like Anemeka with our raw materials. They are coming to pick our raw stories. And on the side of the Igbos, So the thing is, imagine writing the story of Deliko as a game. People know about a game about Grand Theft. Grand Theft is one of the highest selling games out there. Imagine writing the story of Deliko. Imagine writing the story of Onitsha, street life. There are lots of stories you can write, and then it goes in for game. That same story can go in for mass media entertainment. That same story can go in for live entertainment, which is all about culture. Do you know what our masquerades can do in live entertainment? Cultural concerts, cultural festivals. These are things that are generating billions of dollars in a civilized environment.
What would you say is the missing connect?
That's what I was just trying to say it now. First things first, intentionality and focus. Secondly, the funding. Because when you pay Chegwam, art is very expensive. Art is very expensive. If you really want to get it right, art is very expensive. So I don't know. I don't want to sound as if I'm talking too much, because
all right.
If you
thought you get a lot of things that in fact you poked many beers here by what you said now, and that is going to help us expand this conversation. I heard what you just said about ecosystem, and I actually was preparing to engage the two of you, two guests we have here. Now that you have emerged as another guest, making it 3 now that we're engaging here. So that even makes it easier to gauge your thoughts about this idea of ecosystem, because I was driving at something at some point. I was asking myself, and well, anything like an association, naming films, I forgot in Nigeria generally, just Igbo, and where any kind of group or any kind of, I don't want to call it ecosystem, but it's just a coming together of a collective effort that involves people in the filmmaking industry that are from Igbo. Both people from Delta and Rivers, but Igbos, and anything like that.
The thing is, you shouldn't be scared of asking or calling it what it is. Nigeria is divided, and then they're telling us we are united. Even in Nigeria now, the film industry in Nigeria is going already, right? The Hausa has called theirs Kannywood. And then most people feel the owners of Nollywood right now are Lagosians, Yorubas. I've engaged people on certain conversations. I'm sure. I cannot go far be it from me that I mention Asabawood here. Yeah, okay? The thing is, from my own point of view, I don't think so. Yeah, there's something I'm working with right now with Uchepi Okoye, but I don't think so. We do need an ecosystem, because first things first, it begins with educating people. If you know, I teach screenwriting. I do write scripts, and I charge $5 per page. And people are like, I'm so expensive. What they're going with the ball from people, actually, because you don't know what goes into screenwriting. So I don't blame you. Yes, I'm expensive. Forget about it. To me, I don't even think I'm expensive. So we have to start teaching people how to do these things. A common 3-act structure. I've not seen, just like I keep saying, I've not seen a good story. A common 3-act structure have the anatomy of a 3-act structure. When we bring it down, like when we're able to and then it brings you to one certain thing. Every single story you've seen out there, every single properly made story you've seen out there, they are the same. It's always about a hero who is on a journey. At the end of the day, there is a return, because then there is no just BCJ. Right? So in most cases, because you are a creative, you just want to kill the character. But then at the end of the day, there is a journey, there is a move in mindset. That is the journey of the character. It doesn't have to be like the character has to come back home. So to answer your questions, I don't think there is an intent, because whatever conversation I'm having with you, it is based on intentionality and focus. I don't think there is an intentional, group, ecosystem, or people. I don't know. I don't know if I answered your question.
Okay. What do you think about that? Okay.
Can you repeat?
Okay, on the MONI show, what we do here, one of the things we do here is that when we have our conversations about challenges, we always realize that one of the major reasons why there is a struggle in most fields of play is that a lot of times people are running on individual strengths. People are working in silos. Ben just mentioned the US and talked about how people have pulled strengths together to build an industry, but not just an industry, but an ecosystem. So here now, Jobo, since when it comes to the context I need now, and we're a conscious desire to promote to tap into the wealth of our culture, to tap into the heritage, and use it to make beautiful visual storytelling, right? Because we have so many good stories. But the problem is that from all of you, it's been a tough job running it the way you're running it. So now Jose and we go a kind of initiative to come together as a collective and together. Then from there, Mabaze, how to be able to show Igbo how funding can come in. Because I think people find it easier to bring money into something than if you're phone in. So I'm asking them, we go any plan to have something like I don't want to call it a union, but more like a group. Now they're seeking ways to move things forward regarding filmmaking from the Igbo context. You notice anything like that, or do you see the need for that?
So I believe, man. Okay, so no.
Let's have okay first. Then you can come in, Uche.
Let's have okay.
I believe now that I've seen a few scanty moves, made mine myself, but I don't think there has been any seriousness to it with respect to targeting the Igbo. You understand? It may be just East with everybody in the East, because it's not just Igbos in the East. There are so many other filmmakers who are not.
Yes. Yes.
But in anything targeting Igbos, there has been conversations, because I've attended different forums where they talk, and that's the reason I started with. We talk about it a lot, but we're not doing anything. Do you understand? And when I say we're not doing anything, I'm putting myself out there. Maybe I'm not doing enough. But what I think, personally, I've been trying to do is to make it think about the game. Then see for Monkai game, where build the narrative, where build the structure. Do you understand? Because if you have nothing and you are talking, nobody listens. So maybe if you have something and you talk, maybe some people can listen. So that has been my strategy. But I don't think there has been any, solid stuff that has happened in the past. In the recent times,
yes,
with respect to Igbos on how to tackle this issue. At least let's have that common value. Do you understand? With respect to how we approach our stuff. Do you understand? The idea now is I can admit Zobu.
I agree with you.
I can admit Zobu too much here. You release stuff, the next person beside you is already criticizing it, not in a constructive way. Do you understand? Just just being jealous about it, that kind of thing, and that is some of the things that kill our industry. And that's why we've seen some of our fantastic filmmakers leave. When I say they leave, I know so many people that have left, because when they do some powerful stuff, instead of having us here trying to see how we can at least make some kind of noise, everybody is making demands off from somebody that has nothing. Do you understand the point?
Yes. So I can relate to that.
We don't have it yet. If there is, I'm open to seeing it or being a part of it. So.
Oh, okay. I was actually waiting to move the mic to Rita to also react to this, but she's having a challenge with her connection, but she'll be back soon. So let's hear you. Then we'll come back to this. Uche, can you speak now? Number person. Okay, Uche is not on now. Okay, we have Jimmy and Obi on the speaker panel, and then Sinclair. Let's start with Sinclair. Hello? Sinclair, can you hear me? Okay, Obi? Obi,
I can hear you. I can hear you.
They won.
Yeah, Obi, let's have your contribution.
Obi, let's hear you.
Good evening, everyone. Mr. Okechukwu, thank you very much.
There's a lot of noise in your background, though. You might need to take care of that.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, but we need some quietness in your background so we can hear you well. So we need to move away from there. Then, again. Yeah. Okay, Uche, go on.
Okay, so I would like to talk about what pointed out. You were asking if we have any organization or any group of the people from this part of the country, and of course, from what you heard from it shows that they don't exist. Even if they exist, they may not be very active. Even if they're active, they are not making any meaningful contribution. You can just oppose what is happening in Nollywood or the film industry with what is also happening in the music industry. And so, because this is still within the creative space, you find people who are, and I listen to talk about people leaving, and that is a very big problem we're having in the East, brain drain. We've talked about it several times. And if you sit down and ask yourself, what are the things responsible for this brain drain? You begin to see the reasons. And when you want to create something very fantastic, in isolation in an empty land, and you end up creating something, you will find it difficult to sell that product, no matter how beautiful it is, because there is nothing enabling that. It lacks enablement. It lacks enabler. I'm going to say something that's going to blow a lot of people's mind. This is the first time Fino has ever gone to number one ever since he has been dropping beautiful projects. This is the first time he's trending in almost 35 countries. This is the first time. And how did he be able to achieve this? There has been some level of enablement, reorientation. People are beginning to change the way they approach our music. People are beginning to, I don't want to give a lot of details on this, but a lot has changed. And that has contributed to that success. So if he had released this 4 years ago, there's no way we would have expected it to be on top 10 or maybe highest top 5 because of that lack of structure. You cannot have an ecosystem or an environment or society that lacks enablers and you decide to create something very fantastic. It will just be like how will I call it now? A very brilliant person, and you will just become the very brilliant person.
Sorry, when you're talking about enablers, who are you referring to?
So, number one, for example, there are people who are supposed to talk about what you're doing, right? Behind the BTS, like people who are going to talk about and do analysis of your products or projects. There are people who are supposed to do that. That's number one. There are also people who are going to help you push it. They are, market it using their platform. There are also people who are supposed to, support you, attend the event, be present, or do whatever thing you want to do. Maybe you want to organize listening or visual or whatever thing you want to organize. There are people who are going to be willing, to step out. And you can't just find these people in isolation. There has to be an ecosystem that activates these people. So, for example, if you want to organize anything in Onitsha now, you know people you will talk to, right? 5 years ago, if you want to organize something like that, where would you start today? So do you understand where I'm coming from, Chuka? So we lacked a lot of enablers. So if, for example, in the movie industry now, Nollywood, can you mention 5 top Nollywood or film influencers or film curators or film critics from who are living in Southeast? Can you mention like 5 persons with a very good platforms? These are the people that you need to work with when you are building a project. That's number one. Can you mention anybody? And in this category, you have to also have visual and bloggers, like writers, people who are going to be talking about it, and also people who are going to write about it. These things are not here. You also need platform that.
Oh, can't hear Uche anymore. Can you guys still hear Uche? Priscilla, can you still hear Uche?
No, not anymore.
Okay, it's painful that stopped there. Okay, I think I understand what Uche is talking about, and I think it's part of what Ben mentioned when he's talking about having an industry that has a lot of people playing different roles, and that only works when we come together, right? Like really come together beyond what you call the Nigerian. Excellence. Okay, he's back. Uche, we lost you for a few seconds, like 30 seconds. I hear what you're saying. And it's making sense. I'm actually waiting for Rita to come in so we can get her take before we expand it. Jimmy, get one.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry.
And I watch Nollywood. And I watch Nollywood. I watch Nigerian movie.
I watch it quite sometimes, through DSTV, but for a while I don't get that much time, to watch movies, of any type. For a while, based on because of the demands of work. So, yeah.
Okay. So, nwere ajụjụ ka iche gwa anyị ife na-afụ na the movie industry na-agbakasị gị arụ.
Nke m bụ ajụjụ bụkwa okwu ka m na-achị ikwu. Ọ dị m ka, because ihe m na-wonder bụ living in bondage, because achọrọ m trace ihe ebe o si bido. Mgbe emelu living in bondage was, in short, it was everywhere. People who are Igbo watched it. People, Mandina Burundi Igbo watching, yeah? It shook the airwaves, such that everybody wanted to watch it. In short, that was the Eben Nollywood as a business, emanated. But even for, going forward, I noticed that our movie producers we are no longer patient. We are no longer interested in the craft. We are no longer interested in the cultural value. For instance, Living in Bondage was in Igbo and subtitled. Yet so many people watched it. But what you saw about that now, they must do it. It must be done in English. Now, I'm not saying that there can't be some movies in English, but what I'm saying is, how do you propagate culture and by throwing away the essence of culture? So what you now have is, these are Sabawood and all that. So you see that we are not so, what we are interested in is just, and at the end of the day, quick money. And at the end of the day, we end up not making that quick money because we have, lost the value. What people are actually looking for, people want that authenticity that comes with, things like language, things that come with, true, real story about the people. But we lose this authenticity. Some film of about one kingdom, and the kind of stories I'm talking about. Maidens of the Palace. I'm not saying that those things cannot exist side by side, but we now turned our own movies around it. And then again, so all these books, Arrow of God, all these beautiful, because our people do more of novels, all those books, so many of those books. Indeed, even the books like Second Class Citizen by can also be, people go to can still, so such movies, I know some of them would require good funding, but such movies, things it may be cultural, it may not necessarily be cultural, but based on books written by some of our people, can be made into the screen. But you don't see any interest in some of these things. No, some kind of movies that you will not even want to spend 30 minutes watching. So that's what I have seen, that our people sort of lost authenticity, in terms of movie making. And it is the same thing, even in music, but somehow it seems to be coming back, that we are coming back to what it used to be, that authenticity, that the days of Mike Jara, the days of what's his name, Bright Chimezie. So you see that modern music makers, Igbo music makers, try to incorporate these things. There was one that Fino did, trying to bring in old. Then you see the guy who brought Wakafia, some of those music. some of those authenticity and, into what we are doing now. So that's the kind of thing. That's the kind of question. What happened? How did we lose it? How did we lose it? Because this industry was an industry where, our people, I don't want to use the word dominated. Kind of our people were, leading in this industry. But suddenly we sort of left everything that we were known for in the industry and started, making movies that do not really hit at the essence. And I think that's where we lost it. Yeah. So thank you very much. Yeah. For now, good morning.
Okay. You want to come in here? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I practically laughed.
God's name with a name.
So I totally understand. I share your concerns. We also have to look at where you cited living in bondage. Living in bondage is more like you are referencing the language, because it's not really a cultural film, so to speak. It's a contemporary film, but done in our language. So, what have we lost? Those people that did it those days decided, okay, let's try, because the truth is that they were having difficulties reaching other regions who are non-speaking, Igbo non-speaking areas. So they wanted to see if they could do English and Igbo to see how, whether that works. And that kind of worked a little bit. Not like they should have left Igbo entirely. They are business people who are trying to make money. They thought, let's see if we can expand our reach by speaking a language, that's one English. Then when more people get Gokuni, and do you understand? Yeah. So yeah, I think it shouldn't have cost us Igbo entirely. Not that we should be stuck with the cultural thing. Even if you want to make a contemporary story, even if you don't want it to be 100%, bring in the culture, bring in what will give that film an identity that that where we're coming from. Do you understand? So I think to a large extent we've lost it. Because if you look at those films that are done you referenced as Abawood, they do cultural stuff, but the interpretation feels completely like there's no research. Colors that they use you see an Igwe wearing pink and orange. You understand? It doesn't make so it's lack of research, but they do it because probably they want to save cost. If you want to do it right, you're going to spend money. So we are coming back to the problem. We have people who know what to do, but they can't afford it. So while we analyze all the problems, can we itemize possible solutions? Like, can we try, okay, we know this, we have this, how do we get this point, and how do we get this point? And let's call it an experimental project and see whether that can start actually uniting us. Because we've complained. Let's come in practical terms and see if we can experiment a project that we can do and say, this body did something and we tried this and it worked. Because the truth is that when you try something and it works, you can reference it to any business person. And they will say, oh, man, that 100 million naira. Do you understand? Because most of our traders, the result they want to look at. You cannot speak, if you speak drama from here to tomorrow and you cannot show what has been done, they will not invest.
Okay, that takes me to the next question. And when this when they under, I don't, that's why I'm asking this question. I don't really know whether it was implemented, because a lot of things with government don't get implemented. And when this fund for creative industry, by
the one under Jonathan.
Was it under Jonathan or under Osibanjo Buhari regime?
A new one.
Yeah,
a new one now.
Is there another one now?
Another one.
Yes, the Minister for Industry and Culture.
Yeah, so I'm wondering because another question. Do this question, but do our people actually now? This is coming to solutions now. is it that this funding that our people cannot get it, or that they don't have access, or what is happening? Can they wanted this funding? Does this thing, do these programs get implemented, and why our people, if they are not, why are our people not accessing these funds to make movies? Why are they not assessing it if they are not? So what is the real issue? Because now we are talking about funding. This is one aspect where people can raise funds. So who does this money go to? Are we also marginalized in that one?
That's a good question.
Good question. Okay. Yes. I've not tried. I didn't try any of the previous funding, but I know that I heard a couple of Ndeba and Isokwa where there some that I heard. But the thing is that so many people failed that time with respect to delivery, and some of these funding, some people that did the loan one, most people failed and couldn't. When BOI started giving funding, some people could not return their funds, and that became an issue. When they go to motor first, come again.
So this funding is not necessarily grant, but more of a loan.
I think it's I have not personally. I have not seen any grants. I will grant in the buy and child thing.
Another thing.
I feel they don't even believe in the industry. Nobody wants to invest.
Chuka, another thing, another very key thing.
Yeah.
Before you get this funding, you have to present some metrics, right? You have to present metrics capable of bringing back this money. One of the metrics is number. For example, if you want to feature people in this movie, for example, you want to feature like 10 people in the movie, you're going to bring 10 of them. Let's see you check the attraction, how popular they are. Can they bring the return? Can they be able to generate buzz around that movie? These are the metrics. And it's also one of the tools they use in selecting who come in their movie or who come up in their movie. That's why most of them are hiring the BB Niger, TikTok influencers, social media influencers. Most of them are hiring them in the movies. It is not because of anything. It's because of that fund. They want to get that fund back. So they look at the metrics, the numbers, the conversion rates, who will convert. That's what this is business for them. So in this part of the world, do we have that? Say, this is the number of people that we can feature in the movie from here, and their collective followers in social media is up to 10 million. Let's say 5 million buzz will be generated from it, and the conversion, that kind of figure. That is what they do. So do we have that? The answer is no. Most of our actors, most of our actors, really, they are not really huge in social media. Most of them started joining social media very recently, right? So it's also very important.
All right.
And when I mentioned ecosystem, go ahead.
Let's have Ben react to this particular talk about funding, and we take more questions.
Okay, thank you very much, my brother. The truth is, I think I would just reiterate what I said before. Focus and intentionality. Before we talk about funding, we want to see who are accessing these funds. Just like my brother Okioku said, he said something in that because the intentionality is not there, the focus is not there, the love is not there. And out of 10 filmmakers, I'm talking about this particular space, the SE, the Southeast. Out of every 10 filmmakers you just see, I guarantee you're going to see 7 who wants to do it for the money. There's no passion. And then who are the gatekeepers? This whole thing still boils down to one thing: ecosystem. I don't know if I have the time, but I would have liked to let us in on something. Just a little template on something. Please, am I allowed? It may take me like some...
You can do it in 5 minutes?
Yes, I will try. I'll try.
Okay.
Now, if you go to Hollywood, Los Angeles. I will keep going back there because French
It's a
cinema,
reference
American,
point.
yeah, I'll keep going back there because French cinema, American cinema, British cinema, they are kind of, just like in politics, they are friends. They are also friends in this world. Now, a French cinematographer can easily go to the US and make a movie. A British cinematographer will still do the same thing and make a movie easily. It's not because of political affiliations now. It's hugely because of that. But then there is a standard, all right? There is a kind of licensing. Now, Hollywood, Los Angeles, California has this level of organization that makes you run mad. These people used to be like what we are here in Nigeria. You know, when Thomas Edison invented the kinoflow and the lights they used to make movies and all of it, they used to be like, and then the guy saw the level of madness. He kind of patented his product, which is the lights, and then making movies in the US was so expensive in the 1800s, right? But in the cusp of the 19th century into the 20th century, there was a paradigm shift, the kind that Tyler Perry created by moving away from Hollywood into where he is, I think Miami or Atlanta. There is a paradigm shift. So in our space, somebody needs to create that paradigm shift, and it is all about intentionality, knowing what you want and creating the enabling environment. Before you start talking about funding, my brother, people are there. See, I don't know what in culture be at one time. Our people love it when they see that this thing is becoming successful. Let us get the little things right first. So what I was trying to let us in on is when you go to Hollywood, there is what you call AMPAS in the Hollywood, yeah? Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. And AMPAS was founded by some persons. Intentionality. These guys are together, see, we are tired of this nonsense. Let us create something in our own image. And at the end of the day, viable people who have passion for what they are doing, created AMPAS, about 35 persons. Make your research and you can understand what I'm saying. About 35 persons created AMPAS. And today, Hollywood, I think Hollywood has about 5 different eras. Our Nollywood, of which I hate to call it Nollywood, the Nigerian cinema, has about 3 different eras. The pre-Nollywood era, the Nollywood era, and the new Nollywood era. But let's talk about this on later dates. Now, AMPAS coming together, as I'm talking to you right now, these people in their quest for development, in their quest for growth, if you go to Hollywood right now, you're going to be looking. Hollywood is a city of unions. Last year, even background actors and union. Are you getting my point? These people were doing this devoid of the American government. Or the American government for transport American, cultures into the world, because these people didn't have time for American people. They built a bridge directly into the world. What are your time? That's why everybody in the world right now is talking about Hollywood films, Hollywood. Because Hollywood. Hollywood is not the pseudonym for American cinema. American cinema is American cinema. But Hollywood came into the system with that paradigm shift and redefined the entire thing. Now we're looking at about 17 different, unions. There is the writers' union, the actors' union, the directors' union, the cinematographers' union, the editors' union, and these people cannot work without the other person, and they are under one ecosystem. We have to be very intentional about what we're trying to do. I think I've actually, said what I wanted to say. Before we talk about funding, let's talk about intentionality and organization first.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, go ahead. Yes, Rita is trying to come in, but I'm not why it's been so tough. I'm not only block Rita because I'm only block Rita because unblock because. But sometimes I know banter on social media. When you go strike some nerve. When you cause the button, but the easiest thing to touch in this world now. That's block button. Not the very. It has a feeling. You feel like a god once you block the person. So I know when you block Rita here, please unblock so she can join us in this conversation. I'm going to check him when you block. Because I'm not I am going to go from behind the scene, but hopefully we'll bring her back. So let's continue. With Priscilla, go ahead.
Okay, so Anugum, and to a very large extent, most of the things there are, very valid. But Owen Gamtoriti Baka first, the disconnect in a lot of the, will I say, the few Igbo related movies for, and not just on major streaming channels like Netflix. I'm talking about the local movies, the YouTube movies, the few ones that try to bring in some kind of Igbo theme in it. I think that there's just a lot of disconnect. So Mobro now, Mobro now, we need this range to be able to get to those international streaming platforms. In Kina Act, the one that you try to direct or produce to be able to send to those smaller or will I say where you can be able to post your movie at. Why, to me, I feel like, why is there still the disconnect in the stories? Why are the stories not looking well thought out? I feel like we are trying to lump two things together. There's the, yes, you don't have enough equipment, and then there's the storyline is not gelling. In most cases, you have the storyline is not making a lot of sense, and then the equipments are not equipmenting, and you are wondering, like, can't you just pick a struggle? Since you have challenges with your equipment, why don't you calm down your story right? So in my own opinion, or rather to most of our film producers on the speaker session and those in the listener session, what do we think? Isn't it smarter to be able to, the small stories you are saying in your own corner, maybe your one-man Igbo related story, why don't you come down and do your research? In my own opinion, what do we think about that part?
To add to what the question she's asking, this is a proper thing to ask, but I will ask it anyway. In almost every sector that has professionalism in it, and we're standard, right? What else? What other word do I use to describe to express this? We're standard. So, kind of like regulation, right? But in one case, set you find them about gatekeeping, and one case, and we're standard that you have to meet to be able to gain certain level of recognition or a certain level of penetration into the market, or even to belong. This is the reason why I was asking whether there's an effort to have something like a group, because when you have that, you begin to standardize what you're doing. You begin to, once here, this is what you have to do to belong to the people who make the kind of movies that people should be watching and stuff like that. With the advent of digital media, so many things have been democratized. So obviously, I don't know, I control a lot of things.
Chuka.
So how does that play?
Chuka, let me come in here, please. You see what Ben has said earlier about intentionality. I think we need to interrogate that intentionality. Yes, because the reason why we are where we are today is because of that lack of intentionality. I mentioned in the beginning, before I got cut off by network, that when we were, in Enugu, when Nollywood was in Enugu doing so well, mass producing a lot of movies, and even when they moved to Asaba, was also doing so well. There was never a point where the people who were in charge of this mass production took it upon themselves to create a viable ecosystem. It happened in the music industry. And when the digital media came in, and of course the streaming platform came in, they wiped them away. The entire ecosystem collapsed because they didn't plan for the future. Some of us heard the story with Iroko TV and Alaba Marketers. So yes, to answer your question, there are gatekeepers, there are people called aggregators, there are levels to, there is an entrance level, there are standards you need to meet to get to a certain level, especially the Netflix. You can't, like OK has mentioned, you can't get in if you don't provide all the necessary things you require to make a movie that meets a certain standard. And there is also guilt for so many bodies or so many professions. But here, especially in Asaba, there is extreme anyhowness. The people behind the scene, they are poorly paid, especially those ones that are good. They are not paid very well. And when you are not paid very well, what do? You look for elsewhere. And that's why when they know their job, they know their worth, they relocate immediately. And you begin to macromanage with the ones you have. Then if you want to now shoot something of quality, super quality, you will now go to Lagos and bring them down here and you pay double. That is the consequence, because when they are starting here, they are not appreciated, they are not paid very well, they're not recognized. As soon as the person becomes very good in his or her job, he or she relocates to Lagos and it becomes a problem. So that's the challenge. So the ecosystem is not there yet. You need to rebuild ecosystem that will change, reconfigure minds of the collectives. Then there will be a vision among the ecosystem, people within the ecosystem. Even if there are 5 persons with the right mind and the vision, you're going to get to the destination. The problem here is that the people act in an exceptional way, alienate themselves from the system, and secondly, opt to elsewhere. It doesn't work that way. You can't build anything like that.
Oh, okay. Let's hear from. I think Rita is back. I don't know whether she's back. I just saw her a few seconds ago. Rita, if you are on this space, please request the mic again so you can come back with us on the speaker panel. Okay. Let's still have reactions to this question from Priscilla and mine from Okechukwu, Oko, and Ben Obunna. Who goes first?
Okay, can go first, please. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Can I
go also?
So, first one said a bit of what I wanted to say, but I wanted to expand on it. When you said, and where rules and where all those things are already existing. Do you understand? Remember, I said, you understand? Water finds its level. People are on YouTube making money. You can't regulate what is already working. The problem is when you now want to move to a different space, that style no go work for that space. Do you understand? So wherever you want to make a movie for, you have to study and find out what they want. If you refuse to study and find out what they want, you will fail. So it's very simple. And there are schools, there are people who train other people, and there is the internet as well, free for you to advance your knowledge in anything you want in filmmaking. So everything is there for you to be able to prepare yourself for any level you want to go to. So any person that insists they want to stay where they are because they're making money, leave them there, let them stay there and make their money. But you can't stay there and make your money and complain that thing you're using to make money there is not being accepted in Netflix. You can't eat your cake and have it. Do you understand? So those gatekeepers are there. It's just that some people want to, bulldoze their way through those gatekeepers. It won't work because those platforms has their standards, and you must keep to that standard, or just stay where you are and make your money where you are. Do you understand? So then I also want to bring us back to what we originally started. This is about promoting our culture, cultural
100%. I was coming to that. Go ahead.
It is also not the same thing as making money through film. If you do what we have on the top, there's also a possibility that you will not make money. Let's get that straight. But if you want to be able to do that and make money at the same time, you might have to start looking at what or who are my audience? Where is my target market? Who am I appealing to? These are decisions you must make before you venture into any project. And I think that is what is fueling the decision by these other people to bring in Idris and the rest of that, is because they're looking at the money. So is there a way to promote the culture and make money at the same time? Yes. But is it possible to promote that culture and lose? Yes. So it all depends on where you're going. If you want to promote the culture for documentary purposes, you just want to do that to show your culture, just be ready to know that you are not going to certain platforms. Maybe you end up in New Jetwire or Dozy Documentary Place. Just whatever you do has its place. Do you understand? So whatever it is, do that. But if you are looking at generating revenue, you might have to look at promoting culture, the cultural value through filmmaking and making and generating revenue. Once you add and generating revenue, a lot of things are changed. So that's what I wanted to bring up.
All right, Ben.
Okay, sorry, please, can you rephrase, can you come back with the question again so I would know how to, give you the right answer?
Priscilla was talking about the issue with quality, He was asking Maroma whether the problem is that the stories are not done well, or the acting is not properly done, or the equipment is not equipping. Because the equipment is not equipmenting. And different challenges with quality that is coming out from different quarters, certain quarters, and she has a concern about that. That's why Oke was saying that water finds its level. So in the as long as we're elevating the standard and taking it to bigger places, those people will certainly at some point be forced to up their game. So what's your reaction to that? And what I'm asking also, which is that's gatekeeping and having some level of, what is the way to elevate the quality beyond waiting for the platforms to do it for us? And when any kind of standardization or something that can help with that regarding IFA, or is it just training that will do that?
Okay.
Ben, let me specify one thing that's concerning me about my question, and it's about the Igbo cultural values. Some of the Igbo-esque movies that they're acting right now, you see it, and even though yes, the equipment is not equipment, and it's basically the storyline that most people have problems with, right? Took your time to decide that you are going to produce a movie, irrespective of the platform you are pushing it, right? And stories are not adding up. Some things don't make sense, and let's just say the narrative is not what it's supposed to be. So again, how do we reconcile this? Because I think that there's a lot of focus on funding and going for the next big project. Meanwhile, the little projects that are being done are not being done well in order to gain trust to attract the big project. So what's your...
Okay, Priscilla, I think my answer is going to answer for both Kunye Media and yourself. And I think I just remembered you properly now. We've had a conversation around this thing sometime on WhatsApp. I think I'm talking to Priscilla Amadi, right?
Yes, you are. In flesh.
Yeah, we've had a conversation about this on WhatsApp sometime. When we were talking about if the table doesn't fit you, you just create your own table and then move with that. If you can remember. So the thing is, just like I said, I think actively since 2015, I'm not. I left. Myself as a person, right? So this happened on the wake of a particular day. I had to write a story for someone. That was in 2011, before I became a Madonna University student. So I was kind of younger. And after writing the story for this man, I was saying that if all got for my story was 3,000. I may be new to the business, but I felt insulted. I felt completely insulted, and I wanted to protest it. And it was like, again, they can need the script. Again, they need the script to go tell them this thing, And I know what I put into that story. So this is it. We, just like you said, people want to carry a camera, like the best camera in the world. It's a magic pocket. I stay in Oka. If you go say Oka now, as magic pocket na maybe nifite, black magic pocket. Yeah, the person will make almost $6,000 go black magic pocket. I give him to December next year. Okay, make $12,000. You know why? People are looking for cameras to shoot something instead of something to shoot with a camera. This is a problem. A very big problem.
Wisdom.
Like, you're looking for a camera to shoot something instead of looking for something and shoot with a camera. Now, if I have a project before me, just like I think in 2018 when I was the national president of Otita students in Nigeria, it kind of gave me this platform where I had the opportunity to direct these same things fall apart. I don't want to talk about things fall apart today. These same things fall apart. These same things fall apart. I had the opportunity to do an adaptation of Things Fall Apart for Anambra State government under the chairmanship of Salim Banifo, the then minister of Diaspora Affairs and all of that, for Anambra Homecoming. Now, in that time, this is a stage performance, for crying out loud. And somebody was more interested in Kendina Abibia kill this performance because Kendina Abibia and say, wait, the people coming to watch the performance is what is going to inspire you, or is it what you are going to bring on stage for the people coming for the performance? What's the problem? So we are so bothered about how the picture will look, forgetting about the entire mise-en-scene. That's what you call mise-en-scene. The entire thing looking at you on the frame. All right? The entire thing looking at you on the frame. I don't talk about cameras until the camera is the last thing I talk about in pre-production stages. The camera is not the thing. It is the picture. It is the story. What is the anatomy of the story? How is it starting? Because if you're writing a 3-act structure, for example, sorry for taking us a little bit away from what we're talking about. If you're writing a 3-act structure, for example, take away the whole Igbo, rest, whatever. Just keep the Wegiri at one side. Understand the conventions of doing these things first. Then you can you get my point. For example, if you're writing a 3-act structure, there are 4 major elements of a 3-act structure. Without these 4 major elements, your 3-act structure will be what 3? The beginning, the plot point 1, the plot point 2, and the end. Without these 4 things, like, you have to even know the end of your story before the story begins. When I tell my students, that's what I tell them. Because if you want to do it that way, if you don't want to do it that way, you find yourself, look, end is this story, and you go confused by the end of your story. So you have to know the end of your story even before the story begins. And then the plot point 1 and plot point 2 is what most people will call twist. A movie with more than 2 twists. The theme. There are differences between twists and turns and suspense and surprises and all of those things. These are the things that make up, the dramatic context of a 3-act structure. But before we talk about these things, let me take us back to my reference point. Back to Hollywood. Back to Hollywood. Now, in Hollywood, go and ask anybody, all right? You cannot sell a script in Hollywood you cannot sell a script to any film company or studio in Hollywood except you are registered with the WGA, Writers Guild of America, either West or East, anyone. You must be registered to one. And you cannot, write, how do I put this? You cannot write for a company without registered to these associations. And a company cannot produce without picking a writer from this association. So it tells you that for you to even say you are a writer and you are in America, you have to be registered with the association. And this is a struggle since 1933 when they started that WGA. This is a struggle. They didn't start like that, but today, this is the reality. Today. Another thing is, if you're not part of the ASC, if you're not part of the ASC, the American Society of Cinematographers, so there is a lot of frugality.
I'm not cover just a casual event in Chiji documentary.
A casual event is not filmmaking. A casual event is not filmmaking. I'm talking about, in the terms of, say, you have a crew and all of you guys are, settled and doing your stuff and all of that.
What if I'm doing skits?
Everything were, like these civilized cities, that everything were channels. Everything were channels. All right? Okay. Now, skits can be done with your phone. I'm talking about when you are seen with we have high-end cameras, and these cameras are so expensive. So before, even Dolby Pictures or all of those people who hire those cameras are hiring, you go to get and you go to more able first. That is where intentionality comes in. Because why? They want to be sure of what you are doing with these equipments. You cannot just Americans give grants to even people who want to speak against American. It is their rights over there. Like you want to speak against the American government, you still get your film grants. It's your right. All right? But before you do these things, you have to be part of something. We need to create a workable ecosystem. There's something I'm working on now. Yeah, there are lots of departments in this thing that I'm talking to you about, and every single person. Anyway, sorry for doing this, but there is this student of mine. After we went, I just normally have to teach you 12 lessons on screenwriting. Do you know what she said? She said she never knew that filmmaking is this deep. She has always been on the shallow level. Now, there are two aspects of a film, right? You viewing a film as a film technician and you viewing a film as a film audience. Now, as a film audience, there are lots of good movies out there in Nigeria, but as a film technician, now I am yet to see one. Because you have to pass on 7 different levels. You have to score an A on 7 different levels of filmmaking. It is when you understand these things that you can now say, okay, let us carry Igbo cultures and come and start making movie. These are the 7 fields.
If you were saying it that way, does it mean that when make movie Igbo film?
I have not even done a movie.
Because Igbo is screenwriter, right? Okay, tell us what you do. Tell us what you do apart from screenwriting.
I write and I direct.
So in you put on what movie direct to go that is if really a real Igbo movie. Because it's not on a table in now.
Yes, I will do that. Yes, I can do that. The point is when you engage me, you can understand the level of what I'm saying and the level of how prepared I am and what I'm doing. Now,
I understand.
Maybe after now, I can drop you links to my films and then you can check them out and then see for yourself. But what I'm saying is, let me explain it to you so you can understand me. It is a collaborative effort. It is I don't know how to say, it is something that is done by different arrays of talented individuals. If I am a director working in a film and my production designer is not good, my brother, that movie will fail. There is this angle in filmmaking that you have to understand, which is the director, the production designer, and the cinematographer. You see these 3 persons, they are like the triangle that carries the entire thing. So we're talking about story, production design, color, cinematography, editing, sound design, and music. If you cannot score an A on all of these things, my brother, you have not made a film.
All right.
Your movie has to have. Sorry. Okay.
So, because don't be offended. Just hang in there. Let's take some questions. Then you guys will continue. Because Rita, I can see you on the space. If you would request the mic so you can join the speaker panel again. I can see you now. So if you can request the mic and then come in again. Ben, we'll come back to you, surely. Let's just take some questions from the people on the speakers panel. Ohams. Hey, Ohams. Do you have a question or do you want to pivot? If it's actually about movie. And I watch one Nigerian movie, can be good about and I watching moving the Igbo. Eh? Okay, are you a critic? Which one are you? Can't hear you. You're on mute. Your speaker is your mic is unmuted, but I can't hear you. Can you people hear him? Okay, we can't hear him. Okay, Plato, Ganiru.
Okay, Dalukwan. Ewuliwe na nwere network problem kemgbe mbatakwa. The audio pempa ya manza no chi hende
mana emetu onye obuna.
Dalukwan. Ndewo. Biko na-ekene onye ọbụla at least ha na-akụzi ihe nkụzi nke taa at least ebe speaker m bidoro wedolo mma amụtago m a lot especially from the last speaker. Mana tupu m gaa n'ilu nna yo the last speaker mụ anonwe m enwere m a good story, a very powerful story still regarding our culture, our tradition. It's an original story. The actors are still alive and Maka Iba boy, not me, more about boy, but this particular story is even higher than my own. And that story is something that can shoot our culture, our tradition to a higher level. And we're trying to be sure that this story is well told anytime we want to do it. And also want to be sure that it is well told. Let me just stop it like that. And trying to guide it so that it doesn't drop by the wayside or on a ground that is not fertile. Okay, moving on. So whoever that can help
to be a thing of joy for all of us. So, moving on, let me also say something that regarding the issue of things fall apart, most people are happy about it, including me. I'm happy about it. My own point of departure is that, or observation, even an advice is, let the company try and make sure that the person that to act as Okonkwo is truly Okonkwo and not something that looks like Okonkwo.
The money already.
We're just saying like
when I get about it.
Like then I watch it, but man, I ain't gonna collect a ball even when we don't have.
But what I'm trying to say is that we have already touched that part of the conversation somehow, and came to the conclusion that what I get about it than to just open the other stories that people haven't touched yet, and then pour all that passion, direct all that passion and not know how to making something out of the other stories that we have than just focusing on one story that has been produced twice already.
Okay.
You know, that kind of makes sense to me, even though I like Cartoons Fall Apart because I have an attachment to it, but I don't want so much time to return to that. So I would like to ask a question. Rita, welcome back.
Okay.
Rita, I would like to. I would start this question with you.
Can I conclude?
Okay, conclude. Let me just take 30 seconds to conclude. Then I'll come.
Okay. All right. Let me also say something. Which I have not seen in a movie. For those of us who are here, who are into movie production, so we're talking about our culture, how to market it. Before, like most of people got out on my village. Our village is around there now, through community efforts, contribute money, and they send those people to school. I don't think I've seen those things in movies. And also believe that we have beautiful cultures, beautiful traditions in our place that when put into a movie, it will also encourage other people towards community effort. In short, most of the schools, churches was done by community people. So our community, our villages wasn't a difficult place or a place that was antagonistic to development. It encouraged talent and so on and so forth. So I also believe that movies can be done towards that angle. Let me pause because of time.
All right. Thank you, Plato.
Can I ask something?
Okay. Obi. Okay, Obi, man, on now. So if you're going now,
okay. So this is what I want to ask, right? Regarding telling our stories. Yeah. So I keep wondering why they've never been an attempt to tell like the Arrow Confederacy story. Because I don't know if you guys know about the Japanese told Shogun. That one was funded by Disney, so they spent $25 million in that series, right? Told the story of the Japanese feudal system that they had, and now that series won like 18 awards in the AMEs and the Emmys. There's also the Zulu story, Shaka Ilembe. Now they didn't even use the Netflix or Amazon to distribute that movie. They used Mzansi Magic, that's like the multi-choice subsidiary of their own movie distribution rights. So now I keep wondering why we don't have the Arrow Confederacy story, whereby Arrows were like big players in the transatlantic slave trade and how their system was structured. And then I don't know if we have film villages or studio that's in place, like physical structures. Like when we talk about ecosystem, I believe not only we should have like a studio, like we see when Tara Perry produces a studio on BET, like his films on BET, he has a studio where he can create any society he wants. If he wants to turn into like pre-colonial times, he can do it there, or like a modern society, he can also do it there. So I keep this is the question I want to ask, right? Why have there not been an attempt to make those stories like the Arrow Confederacy or Henry Kingship and any other stories that we have in our traditional system or government in pre-colonial times. Yeah, that's it.
All right. You see, the same thing. And you could say again that there are many stories. There are so many stories. That's the more reason why we should focus on the untouched ones, and then see what we can make of them. Right?
I think Naimwe, that problem, I don't know what I will call it, but we have that problem of difficulty in telling our stories. We just ignore our own. We even tell that of others. Let me give you an instance, and I know most of us who go out on the Southeast with this experience, they will teach you more. If you remember, in Southeast, they will teach you more about other systems like the Oba system, ship system, of culture. They will teach you more about the Kano Emirates in the Southeast than our own. You will never find it in any book, in any thing anakuzi na school, or rarely find it. Eba anakuzi about Irigi, about our systems of governance, about our origins, even as a people. So we seem to, and I kept wondering, even as a little child, I once remember asking my teacher a question. You have taught us about Nkendi Yoruba. Kuziela maka Nkendi Hausa. Kekwano maka Nkanyi. Or, the teacher, I can't remember the question, the answer, but we were never taught. So we have this problem as Igbo. I don't know what it owes to, but we refuse. Somebody said that the reason why they stopped doing movies in Igbo is because they needed out to reach out. Look, you will sell more if you have good movies subtitled in Igbo than all this nonsense that they are doing today in English. I bet you will sell more. Because that authenticity that comes with the language. We watch movies in Chinese that we don't even understand what they are speaking. And somebody is telling me that it's because we want to sell more. This is the problem. The problem is that we think we can reach out more by making ourselves less. I don't know whether we get what I'm trying to say. That is by diminishing ourselves that we can reach out more. But that is actually our biggest undoing. Our biggest undoing is that we think that the only time others we can be accepted is when we drop that which is ours and adopt that which is other people's own. That's when we will be accepted. That's why you will go to a restaurant and somebody will change ofen salad to white soup. That is why you will go to a restaurant and somebody will change ofe egusi to melon soup. And it is only our people that do this. So I keep insisting that authenticity will sell you more. Authenticity will sell you more than whatever you think will reach you out. I keep insisting, and I want our people to get this right. If we get this right, dika just something anekuna discussion. If we get this right in anything you do, once you bring authenticity continuously, people will one day accept it. Let me give you an example. Other ministers were doing.
Billy, Jimmy, I am want to spend much time, so you need to round up so we can have the other people.
Okay. I just wanted to cite an example. I wanted to cite an example about authenticity. Do you know what made Pastor Jerry who he is today? Other people were using other platforms and doing things. Maybe in Kia, this is morning prayers, and on the platform he uses. And, everybody wants to go and do morning prayers today. Do you understand? That authenticity will always sell you. What made Kumuyi who he is today, I'm just using that as an example, is because he came in with his own system of, holiness. So if you don't have authenticity, forget it. You can't even sell. You can't sell. So we need to go back to authenticity, to originality. That is when we can sell.
So who can akpo melon soup? That one I never heard that before. Priscilla.
Yeah, just to add quickly to what you said, right?
Yes.
Normally would expect that external pressures or expectations are one of the reasons why there's this very huge need to dilute our cultural narratives to appeal to a global audience, right? But I'm looking at it critically, And maybe I don't have the full information, but from my own POV, my own point of view, I don't think that there's even any external pressure. Because if you look at most of the movies at international streaming platforms, there's this call for people to, impute their cultures very strongly, into the movies that they are putting out there. So, because ebe ka ha gara get with this orientation, na egusi now, melon soup, then it means that everybody will not listen to what you have to say. It doesn't make sense at all. So I think it's that orientation of always wanting to be accepted by everyone else, and it's beginning to affect our product, our work quality, and it's also we are not being authentic.
I think it's about the balance, actually, in my opinion. But I move forward. Or harms. I just want us to take some questions, then take some raised issues. Then we'll now have Rita, Okay, and Ben react to that, right? I can meet you very soon because time I'm one other guy. So Ohams, quickly, if you have any question, drop it. If you have an opinion, make it very brief.
All right, thank you.
There is still sound in your Odeka, your assistant. I can hear the.
No, can you hear me now?
The boy on an audition for you.
Can you hear me? Don't worry, she's fine. She's a girl.
Okay, girl.
Calm down,
the girl act. All my hand who here. So she maybe she will speak. Okay, the girl wants to act.
He's okay now. One second. Okay, let me just quickly speak. She's not excited now. Let me quickly speak. So I just wanted to speak to when they say our when people are making, when Ben continuously makes what's called reference to Hollywood. I want to ask, but we've had people like Nia Kumolafe start with Kajola in 2008. How did he do it? Like in 2008, Kajola was a big deal. So like the most expensive movie we made then in Nollywood, right? And then we've seen them progress to the likes of Kula Lion. And now we have Jadesola Oshibere. They are the same Nigeria. I go on Netflix, I see their movies, they feature the likes of Sebo. It's the same Nigeria. Their camera quality is fantastic. Their storyline is fantastic. I watch a lot of their movies. They speak Yoruba and good subtitles, and they're doing well. So when we're talking about Hollywood, can we start from knowing how our Yoruba brothers are going about it first? Hollywood is too far away. Yes, how are those guys doing it? Can we find out how they are doing it?
All right. Okay. Thank you very much for that. We struggled, but we succeeded finally in hearing you and hearing your daughter, who also wants to be heard. And that's been excellent. Sinclair, let's take your question. And what's the general reaction? Go ahead.
Thank you. I don't have a question. I wanted to just drop an opinion. Is that okay or no?
You have to make it very brief. Are you into filmmaking? Sure.
Yeah, I'm a filmmaker here in the US.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to just drop. I think I wanted to just give an opinion based on the idea of intentionality and art for art's sake. Personally, I grew up watching old Nollywood films, and that's what inspired me to be a filmmaker myself. And one thing I've learned from them was people like Osofia, Patience Uzoko. If you watch their interviews, they were not making money at that time, but they were just doing it for the love of the art and storytelling and filmmaking and culture and all of that. And that's what inspired me to be a filmmaker. I wanted to just say that one thing Nigerian filmmaking is not looking into is independent part of filmmaking. There's cinema, there's also independent filmmakers who tell stories. And that's what, if you look at Hollywood, for example, they thrive. Companies like A24, Neon, and all of that, they started their companies by investing heavily on independent filmmaking. And that's how they grew and built where they are today. So if we look into that, Nigerian filmmaking, if they pay attention to independent filmmaking, it's going to change so many things for us. Also, I know we have the cinema and everything, but filmmakers in Nigeria should also look into film festivals. That is one of the biggest ways to expose yourself as an independent filmmaker. Leave cinema. I know, there's a lot of gatekeeping going on in the cinema, but film festivals, huge. For example, people like C.J. Obasi, when he made this movie, people did not like it, whatever. But if you go to Europe, where that film is going crazy everywhere in Europe and all of those places, because one, it was an authentic, intentional art form that people don't see regularly. for me, my experience, I just made my first feature film, and it's a film that I made as a homage to old Nollywood. It's titled Water Girl, based on the Obanji mythology. And my experience here is I reached out to so many, I'm not going to call names, but I reached out to so many filmmakers.
Sorry, Igbo Wapo.
I'm one Igbo. I'm from
Okay,
yeah.
Daniel.
Yeah, I made a movie called Water Girl based on the Obanji mythology, and I explored. This is filmed based on 4 years research that I did, reading books from Chinua Achebe, Flora Nwakpa, Buchi Emecheta, and all of that. So I wanted to make this film, and I reached out to so many Igbo investors, filmmakers, and I'm not going to lie to you. They were telling me, "Oh, this film we can't do this in Obanji. In my own day, why we're Christians, we can't do Obanji. We should go to church. We should do." And it was just like a lot of like this people not telling me, or trying to make me change the story or make me do something else because they don't feel it's going to sell, or I should do this, do that. And I'm like, I want to make this film because this is where it's coming from, but they didn't want to hear me. And I was almost discouraged. I wanted to do something else, but guess what? I wrote the script authentically the way I wanted to do, based on movies like Egg of Life, Sympathy of those days. I put it into, I applied to a festival here in the US, and I got a grant to make the film by foreigners who saw the movie and saw the intentions of the story and saw something unique. Obanji, what's that? That's something I want to see. And by God's grace, I made the film, and I'm going to release it next year by God's grace. So the thing is, back to that authentic thing. If you do something authentically, trust me, those that will see it and value it will see it. That's why people like David Oyelowo saw the need to want to tell things fall apart. Even though we're all having a problem with, Idris Elba playing the role. But guess what? They saw a need or a value in it. And I don't know who I've reached out or tried to, I don't know the whole story, but I feel like they knew that there's a value and a potential in telling that story. That's why they're making the film. So I feel like if you stick to it, forget about the naysayers, gatekeepers, and intentionally tell the story and put it out there, those who will see the value of it will reach out and they will take it. That's my opinion. I'm talking to mostly independent filmmakers in Nigeria that hear my voice, because I was once there and I'm here now. I left out of frustration and I'm here now. I'm not saying I left because it was I just came here and I put myself out there, told the story I wanted to tell authentically as possible as I can, made the film with Igbo actors, and we told the story, and by God's grace, it's coming out, and I know that it's going to do well. But that's just what I wanted to just like put out there for people to see and hear. Thank you.
Well done. New people, new voices, new people that that's very, very interesting. Let's hear from Hero. Hero, are you a filmmaker too? In a MA film?
No, I wonder where film.
Comedy. Okay, it sounds like a comedian.
At all costs. Now, I really Igbo interest.
Okay.
So, away film na art. But I'm the smart my art film go. Even though I'm film in my older age, people liked it. But I'm not feeling but I art. But that aside, so what I'm trying to portray na I am neku. I kwesịrị ịkpachara anya maka ndị na-akọ akụkọ a. Ihe m ji na-ekwu ya wụ, ị gaghị trọst agwọ. Ịghọtala, o nwere akụkọ onye a ọkwa Mike Tyson, yes. Ama m ebe m dosara vidio, m na-like iwepụtara isi, ana m like ịkọ akụkọ. So a nọ na-ajụ ya, a nọ na-agba ya interview. Ya sị, because a nọ na-asị ya, gị ma ọ like ndị ọcha. Ya sị na ụkwanụ ndị ọcha niile dị bad. Ya sị ya na ya awụ ihe dịrị ya wee kọ, na ya kọrọ ha akụkọ, ya agwọ ha sị na enwere agwọ ndị na-anaghị ata ndị ahụ enwe poison, then enwere ndị nke nwere poison ọkwa ya, na ha niile abịakwute ya, ma nke nwere poison ma nke na-enwe poison, nke were ya na nke were poison dị 2 ma 3, ha niile 300 na-abịa, ama nke wu ke dị safe, ghọta m na-ekwu. So ha niile a na-abịa, so na ihe dịrị ya bụ ịgbachi ụzọ ya, because na amaghị ihe wu nke dị mma, na ha niile wu ihe ụfụ. Ihe a otu m chọrọ ka ndị Igbo were na-eme ihe. Ị hụrụ ndị Yoruba, ndị a na-akpọ Yoruba guy, unu agbakwala ha trust nwa mpekele, unu agbakwala ha trust. Ị hụrụ ihe ọbụla wụ trust, were ya tufuo. Ama m na o nwere ndị nga na-ekwu ihe na ya na-agba ha pim na ntị. Guy, ndị a nwere history of it twist our story. Ndị a wụ ndị ezigbo mmadụ. Lee ihe niile ha kọrọ. Guy, mgbe m na-etolite, ihe nọ na-agwa ewu nọ ndị Yoruba wụ ndị kacha
Hero,
mana ashi.
Hero. Ọ ga-asa anyị ụsọ ka ife na-ekwu bụrụ ife na-akwado ife anyị na-ekwu now ka anyị ga-esi wee move forward in promoting this Igbo culture through filmmaking. Ka ọ ghara ịbụ na anyị ghara ịbanye n'otu side na-aga now, ka anyị ghara ịga that side.
Mba, wee ebe m na-aga, ihe m na-aga ọ na-afụ ụfụ.
Ọ na-afụkwa m nwa ụfụ. Ka anyị banye na solution. Anyị banye na solution.
All solution now. Because ị ga-anọ na asị na mmadụ aga anọ na mmiri nchaba ya anya. Anyị aga anọ na mmiri nchaba ya anya ebe anyị na-achọ solution. Ị nọ na mmiri ncha gị nọrọkwa ebe nchaba gị n'anya.
Ọwụrụ ndị a ji anyị. Ọha jikwu movie industry anyị n'aka.
Ọwụ ana m ekwu na ọha nwa ji movie industry.
So ka anyị focus na nke anyị nwa ga-emenwu. Because nke ihe ya control
ị na-eme nke ị na-eme ngwa gee ntị now. Chee ka ngwa ga ama m ebe ị nọ. Ịghọtara ama m ebe ị nọ na mpaghara ụwa. Mana mụ etu ị hụrụ m na agaala m ebe m gara aga. Obodo m gara bie nọrọ mee ihe dị iche iche o buru ibu. Ana m anụ akụkọ ndị Afrịka ma ndị Igbo. Even beyond ihe wa Afrịka sef. A na-anụ akụkọ ndị Igbo na movie industry. Ịghọtala. Ihe m ji na-ekwu ihe a akwụkwọ inwe ike ka hapụ ịga ebe ahụ because inwe ka ahụ agbakashiwa gị. So ka m kwuo ihe m chọrọ ikwu n'ụzọ ọzọ. Anyị ga-akpachara anya ndị na-akọ akụkọ anyị. Ha nwere akụkọ nke ha hapụ akụkọ anyị aka. Ha hapụ akụkọ anyị. Ha ga-akọ nke ha. Ha hapụ anyị aka. Ha emebichiela anyị ihe. Ha hapụ akụkọ anyị. Ha na-akọ ihe na-awụ eziokwu. Because akụkọ ha na-akọ maka anyị nwa ọwụ na amamebi nọ. Ọ na-eme ihere. Ọ na-awụ ihe na-eyi egwu. Ọ na-ebute iro. Akụkọ a kọrọla maka anyị nwa na-ebutere anyị iro.
Nna Steph onye ada
ịkwado nwaanyị cheka nkwụ. O nwere ihe ọzọ m chọrọ ikwu eweli iwe.
Hero nwekwara iwe o nwe ka anyị si eme na nkata ya na-akpa ebe a nụwa. Anyị nwechara ma ground rule ka anyị si akpa nkata ebe a. One bụ na ịchọọ iso anyị kpa nkata ịghọta na onwe ife anyị na-ekwu na o nwere ebe anyị na-aga isoro anyị wee na-aga ebe ahụ. Anyị na-akpa sticking to the conversation. Anyị achọrọ ịga n'ihe ọzọ because o nwe ka nkata na-asị adị. O nwe ihe ga-abịa ikwu kịta ndị ọzọ chọrọ gị gwa ịmara ife na-aga. Anyị arapụzi ife anyị bịara ịkpa kpaba ife ọzọ maka ife anyị akpakwa na erika. This is the 25th episode of this show. So I discuss go up to 25 different issues. One day, I discuss also. Nke na-ekwu now, anyị metụ gị aka one or twice. So ọ na-abụ anyị bịa ịkpa nkata anyị etinye uche na nke anwa anyị ji maka ya wee bịa. Focus on it. Ka ọbara ndị mmadụ ghara ịgbanite elu. Ngwa gị eziokwu, ọ na-amasị m ige gị ntị ka isi ekwu okwu na-asụ ụsọ na ntị. In fact, m na wonder ma ị ga-eme a good actor because o nwere ka isi eme onwe ka express dị very interesting. Na-akpakwa amụ n'enu ya. Mana ihe anyị na-akpa ebe a na bụ ka anyị ga-esi wee megodi nke anyị nwa because it's a defeatist mentality to think that people are controlling what you're doing when you have the power to control what you're doing. So ihe ga na-ajụ onwe gị bụ kedu ka anyị ga-esi mee ya ka ọ wọkọọla anyị hapụgodi ihe ndị ọzọ na-eme. See, one thing ịma mmenwu n'ụwa with internet na-eme exist now is to say nobody should tell your story. You cannot do that. You're not in control. You're going onwe gị eziokwu. What you can do is to tell your story. Tell it so loud with enough people telling the same story, so loud that it drowns every other story that is not suitable for you. That is how it works. And that's why we came here. I may elevate our stories and give it more meaning, give it more quality, make it excellent to the point that it becomes as powerful as if That's it. So time adrozi. We take again enough time. Let's move to the next person.
Sinclair. I'm just coming in here to see him.
Sinclair has spoken. Yes, he has spoken.
I missed his contribution.
Yeah, this is 18 minutes past 11. That means we have been here for 3 hours. And I didn't take that much time, but this conversation is very interesting and very important. So I think I allow one more time for it. Like I do now. We intentionally took all these questions so that nobody is left behind. I actually ask to our guests again. Okay. Like everybody here, the three guests, Rita, Okechukwu, and Ben, to react to Ifeanyi. But before Nagani, let me just ask a simple question. I've been waiting for people to ask that question since. In the movie industry, or the Kasifuna in the beginning, okay, from Things Fall Apart, Nando, Tiazebi, New Masquerade, this topic was captured very well in those times. It's as if it was captured very well in those times, in the sense that it was intentionally promoting our values, our culture, and putting it out in a positive light. Now, at some point, the likes of Amaka Igbo them came in and even took it to a different level. Almost go lose you. There's a Kasifuna, maybe not like if maybe people are looking for what works for them. So the people making the content decided to focus on, if I know that news, what makes news is not when a dog bites a man, but when a man bites a dog. That's what makes it, because it's bizarre. So the industry started focusing on bizarre things that are not even very real, or sometimes something that is strange. They amplify it so much, or a general situation. So the production or the writing or the storytelling was focused on the negatives so much now. And what was the case of the positives? Like when I talk to people in Africa, in other African countries, Hana watch our movies in those days. I feel uncomfortable about it because it tells me that we have not told the positive stories loud enough, even half as much as we've told the negative ones. But all the Kagasif now, the new generation, I'll use that word, the new generation of filmmakers from Igbo and Awatabago again, and they're coming back to, redeem that situation and then bring back what it should be about. Because for storytelling, number one thing about storytelling is branding. That's what it's about. Telling people what they should know about you. Because then there are too many things about you, but don't keep your. That's what is going to elevate your economy, elevate your culture, elevate your public outlook, and how people buy into you. So, eventually, Junobu, where are we on that journey now? Moving away from that negative narrative that has been coming out for more than a decade. The can also hear Jamal Igbo, okay, if you family, if you na ogabunye nwele ego igwe nwa nwoke chọrọ no jenota one poor girl, then nwekwa problem nke onye nka jekwa na dibe jegwa ogwu igbo onye nka those kind of things ya ka na alone no also ya ka Jamal Igbo, those negative things. So keep on that journey of moving away from those things to other interesting narratives about us. Rita, you can start first, then we can go to
Okay, thank you for that question. Because permit me, I may have to deviate a bit, because when you were talking about demonizing as in the negatives and everything, something came to my mind. Now, I know that previously in the 90s, early 2000s, we had films as in this negative stereotypes was very rampant in our films, and at the risk of coming across as I don't want to say controversial, but to be honest, Pentecostalism had a hand in demonizing aspects of our culture. Now we have a situation where they have a movie. You see in a movie, they are teaching you that a traditionalist, every traditionalist in the movie is bad. Anyone that is not a Christian or that is not fasting and prayer, that is not doing prayer, mountain of fire, fasting and everything. Everybody is a bad person. So to be honest, the negative aspects of our culture, I'm a Christian, so let nobody think, I'm a traditionalist trying to attack Christians. But the thing is, to be very honest, Pentecostalism especially had a hand in in demonizing our culture and promoting and more or less like blowing up, giving negative stereotypes about our culture. Also, when it comes to moving forward in film and everything, because sorry, Chuka, can you repeat that question? What you wanted?
Feel free to also touch other things that other people raised, the people in the audience. But I'm asking, Kerebino, on the journey of shifting, that paradigm shift, a bit ago from what I can see, Lionheart seems to be the loudest in doing that. You know, I'm not saying that you can't tell negative stories, but when we call negative stories or end the choir up in a way that shows that good defeats evil. Like Americans name me a lot. When you see action movies, for one villain, then suddenly for the dig up as a Kubo the guy or Jenga or something. At the end of the day, people are funny hearing what you see, and then we're good sides to it. So, Kerbino in that journey.
In that to address that something maybe about Americans and negative story, I'm going to bring out I'm going to point out something. If you notice in American films, their police is corrupt. They come out, they will tell you, oh, their police is corrupt. They will do a film, their police is corrupt. But if you notice, there's one police officer there that takes up all the corrupt people. So at the end of the day, the message they are pushing is, we have corrupt police officers, but we also have good police officers who are taking down the corrupt people. And I think that is something that we haven't addressed yet in our own filmmaking. What is bad? Because to be honest, in storytelling, one of the major for lack of a better term, crimes of storytelling in Nigeria is that our characters are too linear. They are either very black or they are either black or white, and one or space for the gray areas in between. So by the time you are telling, oh, this person is evil, you don't put something. This person is evil, but the person is human. So it's not like you're glorifying evil, but you are also telling the human. You are also bringing out the human side of that person. Now, to be honest, if you're asking how far we are from, where we want to be in promoting our culture and everything in the Southeast, please, anybody correct? I stand to be corrected. I don't think we've even left the starting mark. Personally, I don't think so. I don't think we've left the starting mark. And honestly, I feel that we have been too reactionary for too long. We haven't. Kudos to those who have done some taking proactive steps and everything. Kudos to them. But how a drop in the ocean of people who are people are just not doing anything. Until somebody else who is not even Igbo comes and takes the story and everything, and they'll be like, oh, outsiders are taking the story. Fun fact, David Oyelowo Oyelowo's mother
100%. 100%.
So when they were shouting, oh, this one, I was just looking at them laughing. Oh, Igbo. And we were doing the same thing to David, what we were accusing other people of doing to GRV in Lagos.
No, but there's a difference. Many people did. Please, let's not get it wrong. Many people did not know initially. I'm not saying what they were even raising is correct, but please don't equate things that are not equal. Please, for the sake of proper.
I didn't want to go political.
Getting ourselves right.
I didn't want to go political. It was a personal observation, but
it's not correct. It's not correct. Most people who made that assertion did not even know that his mom. So and most people who got that actually withdrew that comment. So I want us to get that right. It's not the same thing as what was done to GRV.
From my own timeline, I didn't see people withdrawing the same. So I'm saying from what I saw. Everybody, with different perspectives of a situation. I came from my own perspective. If there were people that withdrew it, fine.
Why I'm saying this is so that narrative does not filter into social media. That it was the same thing that happened to GRV. No, see, it's important that we get this correct. because this is what happens to us. We
But
paint the
I
wrong
believe
narrative, send it
I believe
out
she
there,
heard you.
it filters into the media, and it becomes another thing. It is not the same. GRV was known. His parents were known. In the case of this guy, most people did not even know. So please, let's not sell that narrative. It is the same thing we're saying here.
It's all right. It's all right. I what when it's you have a point. You have a point. Okay, let's allow Rita to finish.
Again, from my own perspective, we have barely scratched the surface, and we are a reactionary people right now. So first things first, we have to get out of that reactionary state of mind that we are in and start taking proactive steps towards these things. Like Ben, was it Ben that said we have to find not carry a camera and shoot something, but look for I've forgotten how he phrased it.
Get the script before go for the right script before the right camera.
Before the right camera, and everything starts with story. We will not sit down. Look, the Southeast is sitting down on a diamond mine of stories. When it came to storytelling, we were in front. And come translate the thing to visual media, I wouldn't say a problem. Everybody is, as in a lot of people are, of course, we understand everybody is doing their hustle and trying to, make money and everything. But at the same time, we weren't doing anything. So the first thing we'll have to do is first things first, find your why. Why are you doing this thing? Are you doing it to promote culture, or are you doing it to make money? When you answer your why, then you will know the next step to take. So this reactionary thing, personally, I am fed up of reaction of being reactionary to things. If you drop something, you cannot stop the other person, or if you leave something on the table, you cannot stop another person, and you don't look at it. You don't. First year goes, second year goes, third year goes, as in we haven't touched it. We don't. It's there gathering dust and everything, and somebody else comes to pick it up and cleans it up and everything, and then we are screaming at somebody. Somebody came to pick up that item. It doesn't make sense. So let's look inwards. Let's not even look outside anymore. Let's not look at whoever is doing us, whoever is not doing us. No. Let's look inwards and start from ourselves and tell ourselves the truth. What are we, and ask ourselves, what are we doing to tell stories that promote our culture? What are we doing? Where are we? How do we move forward from here? How do we push our stories out? Finance is one thing, yes. But I also believe that with the zeal and the motive and the determination, I believe finance will always come in. And that is where I stand.
All right, thank you so much, Chuka. I think we'll be rounding up.
Yeah, we're rounding up. We're just letting the speakers.
Can I ask our CEO, Rita, just one question from her submission, please?
Who is speaking?
Or Hams, please.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, Hams.
Just one. Yeah, sorry, Rita, I just wanted to respond to what you said. And I want it to make sense to me. If you say Pentecostalism actually affected our own movies, right?
Yeah.
The fact is that in the Southwest, all the big Pentecostal churches, the longest standing Pentecostal churches, actually in the Southwest, Redeem,
yes,
Winners, and the rest. How come the Pentecostalism is not affecting their movies? They do a whole lot of cultural movies. Do a whole lot of diabolical things in their movies, and it's on Netflix. I enjoy them. House of God recently watched, nice movie. So how is it not affecting them if they've been in this Pentecostalism longer than we in the Southeast? So I'm thinking, should we look at that statement again?
If you notice, the people, the Pentecostals that were demonizing, the demonization of was it culture in the Southwest were mostly films, media that were pushed via church. We had mainstream filmmakers, Makahana Joka, who will get up and say, because this one has one shrine, this one has one mask. And it's a different book. Mount Zion is an entire, they'd still do it till tomorrow. Mount Zion is an industry on its own. We have the MFM industry on its own. We have mainstream people, everyday people. They are not even pastors. They are not even churches that will come out and make a film and tell you that, oh, the man that ties wrapper with red cap is a demon that wants to kill you. That is a demon that is wrecking you and your family. The Pentecostals in the southwest here, the Mount Zions and everything, they have their audience. But we still have the mainstream everyday people who are still pushing their culture. How many of us are doing that?
So that is where the intentionality comes in. And that's what Ben has been saying here. Chuka, if you look at all these complaints, you see that it boils down to the vision, the plan, and the intention. Because the idea of making movie or making film is to promote a culture and, an agenda. If you watch Indian movie constantly, you will never believe in your widest imagination that India records highest number of rape cases in the world, because they don't even do a lot of, sexual things. And this is because they are intentional about what they are pushing out. If you watch K-pop movie or K-drama, you will see that there is a pattern, there is a particular agenda that all their movies is pushing. Same goes to America. You see how they describe, whenever they show Mexico, you see how it is described. Whenever they show Iraq, you see how it is described. Whenever they show Africa, you see how it is described. Whenever they show an American in a movie, it is always a hero. American is always a hero who is coming to save the whole world. That is always how it ends. So it is something that is intentionally crafted, right?
Yeah.
Do we have that? The answer is no. Why? Chuka, let's answer.
But
why?
But Uche,
The reason is because hold on, please, a second. The reason is because the people who should know or who know these things, who understand these things, are not anywhere close by. They are mostly armchair critics who are seated either in Abuja or in London or in Lagos or somewhere, making all manner of criticism, but getting involved. So the people who are getting involved, who are doing this, are mostly traders who just have money. They have scripts, people that write scripts for them. They know what they want because they have a particular audience they are feeding. And these people are bastardizing our culture. Now, the people who understand these things are nowhere to be found. That is why we are where we are today. So if we understand our place in the filmmaking, we get involved. You get involved. Begin to impose yourself. Begin to be part of the ecosystem. Begin to ask questions. What are we doing here in Omahia? Who is doing what? Can we have an organization? Can we have a program? That is what we should be doing. It's not you isolate yourself to create something fantastic, then expect the whole ecosystem, because the ecosystem is dead. So there has to be an intentional effort to activate ecosystem.
All right.
And conscientize the ecosystem to know to have a particular vision.
Okay. Thank you for that. Let's round this up.
Can I take 10 seconds?
Let's round this up because look at the time. Let's round this up because we this is 11:37 and we haven't even finished, and that's a lot of time taken already. So let's just hear and Ben. And we close. Okay,
can I take 10 seconds, please?
Okay, go ahead. 10 seconds is counting.
All right. So I just wanted to add to what Rita said. In the West, they are culturally dynamic. There's a way they do their thing. You see, they practice their religion, they practice Islam and everything, but they preserve their culture. I think that is what we can learn from. They preserve their culture. No matter where the person is going to. Even the Oyedepos, the Deboyes, they understand their culture. Their culture is supreme. It's a good thing that we can pick from them.
All right. Thank you. All right, okay. Can I wear catch up for for if any go on the guest time
You know, this is not easy to, because these people are filmmakers, so sometimes they will even leave what they are doing. Probably they are even on the Hana Bozi SF shooting. Sorry, a lot of the fan where.
You mean
on set?
Set, exactly, on set. So to actually to get 3 hours consistently from a filmmaker is very difficult, unless one on a vacation. So even be able to have them here for this while, it's not easy. That's why I was trying to make sure that we get the best we can get from them. You know, then I call and Kanye others our own, but it's okay. I'm on affair in this kind of conversation without hearing everybody who wants to talk, because it's an important conversation. Let's hear from Ben. Let me see if I can get okay back. Ben, go ahead. I'm sure you've heard my question and the issues raised by other people. Go for it.
Yeah, you talked about. Sorry, refresh me. Sorry, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I have a problem with like Rita said, demonizing our culture happened for like almost 2 decades, between maybe late 90s and then for like 15 years. We're just busy. I'm not even sure how much we have left that behind, but we're busy demonizing our culture, creating just a single or two narratives that are negative about the Igbo culture, the Igbo society in general. So then outside Nigeria, what they know about Igbos abroad, the best things about us because of our movies. Because our movies are actually have been the best way to sell our culture, our people, our lifestyle, everything about us, our brand. So I have noticed that there is a shift going on, maybe by the new generation, moving away from that and focusing on the best of our culture, on the beauty of our culture, telling our story from the positive light, you know, putting it out there the way our greatness shows from our storytelling. So I'm asking, where are we on that journey?
Oh, okay, thank you very much. Please, before I do anything, I want to say something to Sinclair. Sinclair, please, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Hello?
yeah, sure. Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
bro. All right. Maybe after now, I'd like to have a conversation with you because I put your movie on the jumbotron. I don't know if anybody noticed that. What you're working on is, I just like the shots. Number one. Number two, what you're working on is also something close to what I'm working on. And have you ever thought about Obanje in regards to entropy, time, dream, and all of those things? This is a research I've been on for like 5 years, bro. It's a really nice thing. I don't even want to care whether it's good or not because it's not out yet. So that said, my brother, the thing is, I believe what Rita said 120%. Right? We create stories and care less about dynamic characters. If we want to make characters good, or they extremely good, I make characters are they extremely bad, forgetting that these people are human beings who live like human beings, who are supposed to live like human beings in stories. And I will tell my students I stopped calling it an antagonist because actually it's not an antagonist. What makes a villain is because he has a conflicting interest with the protagonist, with the character of the story. That's what makes him a villain. And the way he wants to go for his own, he wants to go it dirty, he wants to go about it dirty, and we see these kind of people in our everyday lives. So that journey of moving away from demonizing our culture, we still comes back to what I said earlier: intentionality and focus. Now, how can you? Because one thing Sinclair said I love so much is, bro, just relaxed and wrote a movie for 4 good years. You know what that means? If you find me. What writers go through. Quentin Tarantino wrote Inglourious Basterds for 30 good years. James Cameron wrote Avatar that came out in 2009 for 13 good years. He wrote Titanic for 7 good years. People don't understand the level of input that go into these things. And that is where it begins. Education. Educating people on the process of filmmaking. It is very, very important. Because if people don't know, when I was listening to people's take on TFA, my brother, you can see people who don't know nothing about filmmaking. I have no problems with Idris Elba making that movie. Who I will have problems with will be the director, because that was the same mistake they made with Half of a Yellow Sun. A story like Half of a Yellow Sun was given to a white man to direct. And you took away the feeling I had when I was reading the story. Yeah, I can understand the principles of adaptation, that you don't have to stay slavish to the story, but you're supposed to scale the story better than what it was when you met it on the story. That's why, as a director, I tell you, I'm not here to direct your actors. I'm just here to use the talent of your actors to make you feel what I felt when I was reading the story. That is the job of a director. So, without saying much on all of those things, we have started already, and we should continue on that plane to make sure that we educate these people. Look out for those people. There was a guy that said something about writing here. My brother, please, my DM is open. Send me, let us talk about your story. If I like your story and I notice you want to write it by yourself, I will teach you how to write screenplay without any fees, right? They talked about a story. I don't know. Somebody said something about a story here. I'll teach it to you without any fees. Let us start scaling these things. Let people start learning how to write stories first. Can the matter question? Oh, one day I want to be an actor. Why do you want to be an actor? Because I want to be on Netflix. Please, people just want to do these things without intentions. Why do you want to be a filmmaker? Why do you want to be,
Because Ben.
Yes, I'm the person.
Is it Ben?
It's me talking.
All right, I'll follow you now.
No problem.
Thank you.
So now it is a very big problem, and just like Uche was just trying to say, the level of intentionality that is needed in these things. Every single aspect of filmmaking, story, production design, color, cinematography, editing, sound design, and music are intentional. Every single aspect is intentional. And just like you were saying, if for Americans, I will keep saying it till tomorrow, it is a city of unions when it comes to, maybe I need to get there to really give you a more, understood platform on what I'm saying. But let me tell you this. If just check it, they are so intentional to the point that now, if I'm in a films of Mokma, American films of Mokma, anytime they want to show you anything Africa, the color theory is just so different. Because they play with your psychology. Colors is there's what you call color theory in filmmaking. They play with your psychology. In Mexico is always you understand? They use this. The level of intentionality needed is what we are talking about. You want to talk about palettes? There is a color palette that is designed for every movie with its own color palette. If you notice it from now, just start looking out for these things. The most traditional color palette for Hollywood movies is orange and teal. Orange and teal. Start looking out for these things. Even make your research right now. As I'm talking to you, the most traditional is orange and teal. Why? It gives your movie this level of, as on a made film or law. Let me use that line. So, my brother, demonizing whatever it is, we have to even start telling people, see, let us even sit down and understand, why do we even want to do this? Why do you want to be a writer? What am I writing? What am I developing? Because even me, I can still demonize Igbo culture. But then at the end of the day, I will give you something that lets you understand why this thing is demonized. And again, people don't make research. I cannot remember within the times of my ancestry when Igbos ever operated on the system of monarch system. We have always been about Umunna system of government. But we don't look at these things. So if I feel you are seeing people that because film 500,000, make 50 million. We are so all about trade by barter, buy and sell. There is no passion. So when you begin to teach people from scratch, then you begin to streamline all of these things. Are you right? Are you a spec writer? Are you a contract writer? If you're a contract writer, this is what you're supposed to do. As a spec writer, this is what you're supposed to do, because the ideologies are different with these people. I yield my mic. Thank you very much.
Hello, Chuka Inokwea.
Yeah, I'm here. I've been trying to get Okeoko back, but it seems that is not working. So, because I'm with the three people here, but filmmakers, or the four of them, get about this ecosystem. A lot, and we have 4 people representing your industry here. So, because if you can do that, it won't only improve the quality, it won't only structure the system or structure the industry, but it will attract some kind of funding that you haven't been able to attract. The truth is that when you are looking
without that ecosystem,
please let me just address this before, because I have a class move from
we'll close now. Once you're done, we'll close.
All right, let me just address this. Sorry if somebody else wanted to speak. Let me just take this time. Now, there is something Uche, please permit me to do this. There's something I'm working with I'm doing with Uche P. Okoye, right? I don't care how long it's going to take, but we must revitalize and revolutionize the aspects of filmmaking the way we understand it. Now, there is an ecosystem, right? An ecosystem that when we begin to hit the waves, you can begin to see all of, because even no workings, right? We talk too much and do little work. But right now, as James Cameron will put it, he said, a director who is not loquacious will always make his mistakes and regret it later. Right now, I'm ready to do the talk. I'm ready to do the work. I'm ready to, go beyond the work and still do extra. We are open and we are trying to do the best we can to make sure that we have a proper ecosystem working for not just Ndi Igbo, but we are trying to also see, can we build a bridge directly to the world with world standards and stand side by side with the world? Just like Sinclair will put it, we don't care what you're trying to do, right? Indie filmmakers, once you have something beautiful, it's going to bite. People are going to enjoy it. You understand? So I think over the last few months, we have trained writers, we have trained actors. Right now, we are training, cinematographers on camera and lighting. After that, we're going to take on film producers. We have all of these people who are doing these teachings. You understand? So it is a process that has already started, and I do believe in something. If you have the time for this thing, it is going to have the time for you. So I do believe that when we are ready, I don't think funding is really going to be a problem. And the whole ideology of an ecosystem is somebody in the US, for example, who has always, somebody outside of this place, or somebody anywhere who has always wanted to put money in film, comes into a place and says, oh, there's an ecosystem. Oh, and the person doesn't need to struggle. So you just come down to the Southeast, you connect with the ecosystem, you do everything with the ecosystem, and then you go your way. It is that simple, because every single body is in the ecosystem. Sound designers, music designers, cinematographers, editors, Foley artists, every single person is in the ecosystem, is in that same area. So I think I answered the question. I don't know if I don't. You can.
You did. You did, actually. Okay. I don't think there's anything else to say. I don't want to keep us here for too long. I've already stayed for long enough, and it's been a beautiful conversation. It's been more than I thought. It's been more than everybody here expected. I want to thank you, Ben. Even though we didn't reach out to you because I didn't know you, and I was asking to find people who are doing this so we can bring more people into the conversation. But I appreciate the fact that you came in on your own, or maybe Uche invited you, I don't know, but you came in and dedicated your time, your valuable time, to this conversation, and you have really enriched it. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Rita, I know the sacrifice you made this night. I know what you're dealing with, and you still, in spite of that, you were able to make our time to be here and to join us in this conversation. In spite of all the struggles with connection, you kept coming back. That's a spirit that makes things happen, and we really appreciate you. We appreciate your contributions to this conversation, and I want to believe that you too, and okay, and even Sinclair and other people listening from the audience are going to have a talk and then see how you can begin to come together and start something, because that's what this platform is all about. Driving conversations that go for the collective work, so we can make things happen at a different level. Ndi Igbo kalaka, Ndi Igbo did too much. Ndi Igbo well, everything it takes to actually do the things that we desire to see. It's just that we need to come together. We have worked in silos for so long. We have worked as individuals for so long because of certain things that happened to us. But originally, Igbo is not just a quote. It's a reality. It's part of who we are. What it means is there is strength in the collective, and whoever came up with that line as an adaptation from our lifestyle. So this is who we are. People that work together, people that work as a collective. So I hope that happens. I hope this adds to that possibility, this conversation. That's all we can ask for. To everybody who contributed to this conversation as speakers, we appreciate you all. And to everybody who shared the space and let everybody know about what we're doing here. And to all the people that have been listening for the past almost 4 hours, Chai, I am not the guy about too much. I am sorry. We are sorry for keeping you here for too long. Sometimes that is a managing them. We never know focus here. That is a managing them as Monday actually governor. So sometimes on our fear, I can more because it is. Man, we keep improving. We promise that we'll keep making it better and better. Yeah. So this conversation is recorded, so it remains here, but we'll make a post-production and put it on our YouTube channel as well, so people can always go there to listen to the conversation. And if you have people who couldn't join because they're not on Twitter, who would like this conversation, just direct them to our YouTube channel. It's on our bio, youtube.com/kunye-media. That's it, youtube.com/kunye-media. We're also on Facebook. Kunye Media Official is our Facebook page. So feel free to go and subscribe on our YouTube channel so you can find anything we post will just get to you. And even on this account too, please follow us. Let's have more followers so we can get to see our updates as things come up. A lot is coming, actually. Priscilla, I want them go your last take so we can go.
Thank you, my brother. If anything Igbo interests me, and with regards to our topic, quick one, because I know most of us here are getting tired. I'm just basically, I would love to see situations where intentional cultural representations now are filmmaking, intentional cultural representation that, would lead towards, richer storytelling with much more interesting narratives, that would kind of lead towards a cultural identity preservation, because I think that is missing a lot in most of our Igbo filmmaking, that will lead towards, I'm also looking forward to all the various filmmakers here connecting with each other for collaboration, and even growth as well, in order for them to together tackle challenges and even, assess opportunities. Because at the end of the day, if action is not done, we are still back to square one, and I'm looking forward to such rich collaborations and growth together. Again, my name is Priscilla Amadi, your service culture evangelist. Fantastically happy and always glad to be part of the conversations Maka Odimandibo here on the MONI Show with the host Chuka. And again, I'll be seeing you next week by the grace of God. God keeping us alive. That being said, I think I'll yield my mic, and do have a wonderful evening. Chuka,
yes, so ebe aka nkata anyị kwụsị. Nwere ọzọ ife ọzọ anyị nwere ikwu. So masị agaziela unu niile, Chukwu gozie onye ọbụla. Till next Saturday, same time, 8 p.m. On this platform, the MONI Show continues, and we'll be having another interesting conversation, just like in Kembo. I want to also say thank you to Okeoku in his absence. I believe that he has given us as much as he could, and probably left to take care of something. So, but we appreciate him for the time he gave us. We appreciate him for the contributions. I hope that you guys will have some kind of conversation later on. Yeah, so It's the MONI Show.
Makodim Mandi.